Honorable members, let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold you with your abundant favor as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, let us proceed. First order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
There's one question that is being sought by Honorable Mumina Bonaya, member for Isiolo County. You can proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Request for statement regarding inequitable classification of teachers' allowances in Isiolo County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education regarding the inequitable and inconsistent structure for teachers' allowances, house allowance, and hardship allowance in Isiolo County. Honorable Speaker, teachers working in secondary schools located within Isiolo municipality have been wrongfully excluded from receiving the enhanced Cluster 3 house allowances as prescribed in the Teacher Service Commission framework. The affected teachers serve in the following schools: Isiolo Boys, Isiolo Girls, Mwangaza Girls, Bulampia Mixed Secondary, Waso Mixed, St. Paul Kiwanjani, MCK Kisima 78 Mixed, Uhuru Secondary, Isiolo Barracks Secondary, and Kambigarba Secondary. Honorable Speaker, despite these schools being located within the boundaries of Isiolo municipality, teachers in these institutions continue to receive lower house allowances instead of the allowance under Cluster 3, which applies to other former municipalities. This discrepancy raises concern as to why the TSC has failed to update the house allowance classification to reflect the municipal status of these schools and rectify the years of underpayment. Additionally, teachers serving in hardship areas of Isiolo County face varying degrees of difficulty, including poor infrastructure, harsh climatic conditions, insecurity, and lack of basic amenities. Regrettably, the hardship allowance remains uniformly applied despite these disparities. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education on the following. 1, the reasons for the failure by the Teacher Service Commission to classify Isiolo municipality under Cluster 3 for house allowance, despite the clear eligibility of the listed schools. Secondly, reasons as to why the hardship allowance remains uniform across all hardship areas, despite the wide differences in actual hardship severity. And finally, steps being taken by the government to implement a graduated or clustered hardship allowance model to ensure fair and equitable compensation for teachers serving in the most challenging areas. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Is there the chairperson for the Departmental Committee for Education or a member? Are they present to give an undertaking? And majority leader and minority are not here. Okay, I think Honorable Pukose, we shall let you inform Honorable Meli. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll inform the Chair of Education, the Honorable Meli. He normally sits with me here.
Okay. All right. Then, honorable members, allow me to reorder the order paper in this respect, that we move to order number 8, and then we shall come back to the responses to the statements that had been placed before the House earlier. So let's, next order.
Order number 8, motion, implementation of the universal health coverage and policy on mandatory use of public health care facilities by public officers. Question to be put.
Honorable members, I now put the question that aware that Article 43(1)(a) of the Constitution provides every person has a right to the highest attainable standard of health, which includes the right to health care services. Further aware that the government committed to accelerating attainment of the universal health coverage, UHC, to ensure that all Kenyans have access and receive essential quality health services. And cognizant of the fact that the 2020, the Ministry of Health adopted the Kenya Universal Health Coverage Policy 2020-2030 with the theme, accelerating attainment of universal health coverage. Honorable Bowen, please be silent. Accelerating attainment of universal health coverage, which is currently being implemented through the introduction of the Social Health Insurance Fund. Noting that there is need to increase the quality of care and services provided in the public health sector. Concerned that the public health care services lack adequate funds to guarantee quality health care services, and further noting that the civil servants, public servants, and state officers are accorded a comprehensive medical cover by the respective government agencies, and appreciating that the use of the comprehensive medical cover by public officers and state officers in public hospitals would guarantee sufficient funding for public hospitals. This House therefore resolves that the government through the Ministry of Health implements the Kenya Universal Healthcare Coverage Policy 2020-2030 and introduces a policy on mandatory use of public health care facilities by all civil servants, public officers, and state officers in the country. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. Honorable members, we now go back to order number 7, and we have about 5 statements to be responded to. The first one is a statement by Honorable Stephen Mogaka, member for West Mukiriango, to be responded to by the chairperson for the Committee on Administration and Internal Security. Okay, we give a little time to, we'll give you, Honorable Tongoyo, do you need some time? Okay, so let's move to the next one. Then we'll come back to you. Let's then go to the next response to the statement made by Honorable Dr. Charles Onchoke, member MP for Bonchari, by Education, Chairperson Committee. Anybody from Committee on Education? Yes, Honorable Professor Barton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have the report on from response to Dr. Onjoke, and Madam Speaker, let me present. Honorable Chair, drug and substance abuse is rampant among university students in Kenya. An estimated 26.6% of students across both private and public universities are currently using substances such as alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, and psychoactive substances, especially methamphetamine, ecstasy, and ketamine. Alcohol was the most abused substance, 87%, with one followed by cigarettes at 64%, shisha 41%, vape e-cigarettes 31%, nicotine 30%, kuber 23%, and snuff tobacco 22%. Question 1 was actions being taken to address drug and substance abuse among university students in Kenya. Universities are implementing multifaceted interventions to address drug and substance abuse. Universities are collaborating with National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, that's NACADA, to implement education and communication campaign to create public awareness on dangers of substance abuse, preventive mechanisms, and rehabilitation programs. The universities have also introduced regulations and policies that ban alcohol and substance use on campuses. Counseling services and basic treatment is offered to students who face challenges with substance abuse. Universities are also engaging the families of the affected students to support the students by providing an enabling environment for treatment and recovery. Question 2 was on the plans put in place by the Ministry of Education to provide affordable and accessible treatment and rehabilitation services, specifically tailored to meet the unique needs of the students in institutions of higher learning. The response is that the Ministry of Education provides policy guidelines and funding for university programs and policies that include drug and substance abuse. Therefore, the ministry has delegated welfare of students to universities while providing oversight and strategic leadership. University policies foster the welfare of students. Specifically, a committee on drug and substance abuse has been established in every public university to manage relevant programs, monitor and report the progress made to the ministry. In this regard, universities implement and report on various interventions that address drug and substance use. Universities are also required to commit resources in their budgets for essential health services such as counseling, treatment, and rehabilitation. They have also dedicated a unit in the university clinics for preliminary treatment of students who abuse alcohol and drugs. Severe cases are referred for rehabilitation in various parts of the country. Question 3, and which was the last one, was the prevention programs, guidance and counseling services available for students at universities in Kenya. Kenyan universities have implemented various programs and counseling services to address drugs and substance abuse among the students. The initiatives highlighted below aim to promote student well-being and academic success. One is universal prevention strategies, and that many universities employ universal prevention strategies targeting the entire student population. These programs focus on raising awareness about the risk associated with substance use and promoting health lifestyle choices among the students. They also have workshops and sensitization campaigns. In institutions such as Karatina University have hosted workshops on themes such as drugs and substance abuse, prevention and management. Efforts are also being made to strengthen public-private partnerships and collaborations to enhance the welfare of students. For example, the University of Embu has formed an association of private hostels owners serving their students. The university works collaboratively with the association to address problems faced by the students in the hostels, including alcohol and drug abuse. The Commission for University Education is developing standards for accrediting private hostels to ensure the well-being of students. Sanctions will be imposed on universities that do not adhere to the standards under preparations. Going forward, private hostels owners will be required to collaborate with universities and NACADA to mitigate substance abuse. Specifically, hostel staff will be trained to identify and report cases of substance abuse to facilitate early detection and treatment. Implementing these measures requires coordinated efforts and a platform for linking universities, government agencies, and private hostel operators to create supportive living environments that discourage substance abuse among students. It will be the responsibility of respective universities to develop and sustain these forums. This is submitted for consideration. And Madam Speaker, once upon a time when I was teaching in the university, some students came to me and told me that on Fridays, because of whenever they don't have resources or whenever they are broke, there is a drug which they take on Friday and they die in quotes and they resurrect on Sunday so that they don't spend any money over the weekend. So I'm glad the universities are putting in place measures that prevent drug abuse in our institutions of higher learning. I submit the report.
Before we proceed, honorable members, allow me to recognize the presence of the following school seated in the public gallery: Tido School from Kisumu East constituency in Kisumu County. And I'll ask Honorable Shakil, MP for Kisumu East, to welcome them on behalf of the House.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is an honor to inform you that a school which is in my constituency called Tido, very close to where we are, Tido Primary, are here to see how the operations of Parliament are. And I'm quite aware of the school. The head teacher has been doing an excellent job. And the school is now JSS mixed, and they're doing an excellent job. So I want to welcome them to Parliament, and I'll be seeing them shortly thereafter. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, next, Honorable Tongoya, are you ready? Okay. Oh, you are around? Yes, okay. I think we'll give Honorable Member Nchoke to if you're satisfied with the response.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity, and thank you, the Committee on Education, for the response. But you note that, Honorable Speaker, that the numbers presented by NACADA and by the Ministry of Education are variant, they are in conflict. The number provided by NACADA is 45% as the rate of the population of students who abuse substances and drugs, whereas the ministry gives us a number of 26.6%. As an accountant, if you have two conflicting numbers on a loss, I take the higher number. The higher number is 45%. So there will be need, first of all, for the two institutions or the two agencies or departments of government to reconcile the numbers, to determine the exact extent of this menace in our universities, to be able to be effectively manage and help solve the problem. If we don't know the size of the problem, it's very difficult, almost impossible, to be able to solve it effectively and conclusively. And I'm also glad that my friend Honorable Phyllis Barato admits that this is a problem that is prevalent in the universities, that our students die on a Friday for 2 days until Sunday, then they resurrect. What else dies? Are their brains still alive, or they also die over time? What generation are we having? Honorable Speaker, most of these plans, efforts, and programs that are enumerated are futuristic without specific timelines. I would urge that the Department for Education follows these matters very closely with the Ministry of Education so that we have very clear timelines when these plans and efforts will come to fruition, so that they are not dragged out. We don't have measures, we don't have efforts in place that are going to help our students in the universities, and over time we are losing them. So that as they recess, as they go to their committee rooms, they engage with the Ministry of Education so that very specific timelines, very clear, very cogent measures are outlined. Then they table a report in this House for consideration. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, thank you. I think next we go to the question that had been sought, statement that had been sought by Honorable Stephen Mogaka, member for West Mukuriango, and I think to be responded to by the Administration and Internal Security Committee. But is Honorable Mogaka here? Okay, if he is not present, then he loses the opportunity. So we proceed to the next one. Yeah, we can just put it on record that you have tabled it.
Yeah, I think you did rule some time back that at times, because of just for fairness, if the member is not present, we table it because all the same, these are materials and record of the House.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so Madam Speaker, just to be on record, I'm tabling a statement being sought by the Honorable Member of Parliament for West Girango constituency, Honorable Stephen Mogaka, regarding the trespass and failure to enforce court orders on LR number 8481/1 in Kasarani. I table, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. So tabled. Next, we move to the request for a statement that was made by the member for Turkana Central, Honorable Joseph Namur, which was sought from the Education Committee. Is Honorable Joseph Namur here? Okay. Committee, Education Committee. Professor Barto, do you have this one? You're taking it? Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a response by the Ministry to a question asked by Honorable Joseph Namor, MP, Turkana Central Constituency. Request for statement regarding submerged primary schools in Turkana Central Constituency. The rising water levels, this is the response, the rising water levels in Lake Turkana have caused disruptions to some learning institutions in Turkana County. Turkana County has 11 sub-counties with 478 primary schools, 245 junior schools, and 67 senior schools. It is correct that Natole, Katula, Merier, Nangolpuls, Ekwar, Ngimuriae primary schools have been affected by the submersions, affecting an enrollment of about 1,442 learners. The submerged schools were rendered inaccessible and dangerous since the rising waters bring with them reptiles such as snakes and crocodiles. The stagnant water is also a breeding area for mosquitoes. The Ministry of Education, working together with other stakeholders, including the county government, the NGCDF committee, and non-governmental organizations, have moved the schools to new locations to ensure minimum disruption to learning. At this juncture, may I express our gratitude to the Honorable Member for Turkana Central Constituency, Honorable Joseph Namwar, for his support in this regard, including through the construction of 5 additional classrooms at Ngumuriai primary schools. Following an assessment of the extent of damage and the threat to the safety of learners and teachers, the ministry deemed it necessary to relocate some of the schools as detailed below. Katula Primary, the school's physical structures have since been completely submerged by the rising waters of Lake Turkana. The school has been allocated a new site at Lotome village, approximately 3 kilometers from Katula. The land was donated to the school by the Kangathoda Location Council of Elders in the presence of the county, village, and ward administrators and the chief of the area on 20th May 2025. In the meantime, UNICEF has provided a high-performance tent to the school for classrooms. In addition, they have instructional materials to support teaching and learning. B, Natole Primary School. Natole Primary has also been affected by the rising waters. The entire school compound, as well as all the physical structures, including the classrooms, administration, and sanitation facilities, are currently underwater. In January 2025, the school was not opened for the new academic year. As a stopgap measure, learners were relocated to Kalokol Mixed Primary School. Although this has caused a strain in the resources at the host school, since then, the community and church, African Inland Church, Kalokol, have identified a new site at Lowoi, Angikieni village, approximately 3 kilometers from the current site, to relocate the school. C, Merrier Primary School. This school was relocated to a higher ground identified by the community within the same village, and the learners moved to the new site. Temporary shelters have been constructed in the new site, and the school is operational. UNICEF has provided a high-performance tent and instructional materials to support teaching and learning in the school. Ekwar ECD Center, Nadoto Primary. The Ekwar ECD Center was a feeder school to Nangitoni Primary School. The village was affected by the rising waters of Lake Turkana, and the villagers have relocated to Nadoto village. The learners have also been transferred to Nadoto Primary School. I think that's the end of that response, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, member for Turkana Central, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the committee through the Ministry of Education for providing us a situation report. Honorable Madam Speaker, I think what matters is the question on how they are ready to solve the challenge. And from the situation report or the SITREP, the committee concentrated on letting us know what is happening on the ground, Madam Speaker. But they are not providing a solution to the challenge that is already on the ground, Madam Speaker. I requested for the ministry to provide infrastructure. I went my own way, having known the head of office in Loda for UNICEF, having worked with him before, and I was able to get the 2 tents. And I thank UNICEF for the good gesture. Madam Speaker, I requested from the CS, even here, when he came around April for question time, if we can be able to meet so that we can have some infrastructure for the schools affected. Madam Speaker, even when the committee requested that I attend their meeting, I was able to attend, and the instruction from the committee is we meet with the CS. I met the CS. Madam Speaker, it is too unfortunate that the Ministry of Education does not have a contingency allocation or something to deal with emergencies in this country. And I saw a very pathetic situation where the CS could not be able even to tell me that we can do some classrooms. The CS didn't even mention any plan in the near future to support us have permanent classrooms for the affected schools, Madam Speaker. And I want to join my fellow Kenyans outside there who are saying that our education system is in the ICU. I have been able to experience that. And when a whole ministry or a whole CS could not be able to tell me that there is something that they can be able to do, Madam Speaker, I don't know. But what I want to tell my constituents is I have been able to commit myself into communicating with the who is who in this country to see how we can be able to save the situation on the ground. Madam Speaker, I've written to Kenya Pipeline Company for a CSR. I've also written to the NGCDF board for a CSR, but nothing is forthcoming. Maybe I will try Safaricom Foundation if I will be able to get some assistance. But Madam Speaker, I am not happy with the position that is already at hand. There is no solution. And Madam Speaker, the literacy levels in Turkana are very low, at 27%. And the national average literacy level is at 79%. How will the children in Turkana, or how will the people in Turkana be able even to get the 79% literacy levels in Kenya when the education system, the infrastructure, enrollment, retention, and even the learning environment cannot be achieved by the Ministry of Education in Kenya? Madam Speaker, I'm not happy, and I want to tell my constituents now that you can now see the importance of NGCDF, why we are not saying that NGCDF should not die. So we will struggle with our NGCDF and see if we can give a solution. It will take time, but we will be there. Otherwise, I've tried my best. If there are well-wishers outside there, please feel welcome to help us solve this situation. That is my submission, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
I hope the Committee on Education has noted that he wanted solutions apart from just a status report of the situation. And I would have thought that there is usually the contingency funds for emergencies that can be used. Yes, Honorable, what's your point of order?
No point of order. I just want to joyride on this. Madam Speaker, the fact it's good that the honorable member has worked very hard and is trying to solve this problem. But the problem looks much bigger to me than just schools, because this is water level that is arising in a lake and it's not related to rainfall. And what I would have expected, maybe that is somewhere, what is happening, what is expected, because I know that area and this water level is rising and actually swallowing schools and even other institutions. We can move and build new schools. We can move and change institutions. But have we addressed even in other areas, the people environment, geological studies, what is happening? Or in another 5 years, all this water will go back, and now you have those old schools there. So I think there's a bigger issue that probably the Member of Parliament can actually look into. What is happening and what is expected to happen with this phenomenon? If it was rainfall, we would know it is rainfall, and after the rains it will go. But this is water just arising, level arising on its own. Madam Speaker, I thought that's a picture we should look at. Thank you.
Yes. Let me just, Makali.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to comment on the issue of the contingency fund. Honorable Speaker, at the national level, we have a contingency fund which is actually, the custodian is the National Treasury, And at the county level, we have also an emergency fund. Under the county level, that should be under the CEC finance. But the challenge has been the process to access the resources quite tedious. How I wish could make it easier so that this kind of situation could be sorted out. Otherwise, at the ministry, we don't have that kind of fund, but it's in the national treasury for the whole country. Thank you.
Honorable Dorothy Kiara, I can see you wanted to have a comment on this.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to weigh in this matter and say the problem that is affecting these institutions is way bigger than only building the classrooms. Let the concerned member use a multi-agency approach so that we can be able to know exactly what is it that is making these waters rise. Honorable Speaker, we know climate change is a reality in our country and we should be able to address this. Otherwise, it is a concern to the member that children in that area of Turkana are not learning. There are not sufficient classrooms. Literacy level is at the highest, Honorable Speaker, and it is our duty as responsible citizens to ensure that we do all what it takes so that the Turkana children can have equal opportunities like all other children. The government is doing quite a lot, and I'm sure if he does a better approach of approaching the government, including the head of state who is so much concerned about the welfare of the children of this country, I know he will get assisted. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, on behalf of Education Committee, do you want to say anything further before we close?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I really do appreciate the concerns raised, and I think the honourable member was with us in the committee while the ministry was responding to these questions, and we shared the same, fears that the ministry, despite it being allocated contingency funds for emergency, they always use those funds for other non-related projects. Honourable Speaker, there is a lot of high-handedness and individualistic decision-making within the ministry. And that is why, in a few days, myself and another colleague will be bringing a censure motion to some ministry officials. We do hope that we get enough support in this House away from party lines to ensure that we clean this ministry. Otherwise, we will be here, all of us crying for our constituencies and regions for not having proper development, but when we bring to task the people who are failing the ministry, some of us take party lines, and that's why we let this nation down. As a House, we need to stand together and fix where their problem is. So we do agree that the Ministry of Education has challenges, but we also must be ready to take to task those who are letting the ministry down and those who are letting the children of Kenya down. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
For the further answer on that. Next, let's move to the statement, the response to the statement of Honourable Mumina Bonaya from the Committee of Education. Who's doing that? But it's similar to the one you sought today, Honourable Mumina. It is. Yeah, but your question today covered including that. It was hardship allowance, other house allowance. Yes, so it's the same question. So I hope it will answer the question. And maybe we can in future just desist from asking a similar question all the time, because then it takes up time and it's the same answer. You may proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. A response to the statement by Honourable Mumina Bonaya regarding salary enhancement for teachers in Isiolo municipality. This is the response by TSC. The current status of the implementation of enhanced salaries and allowances for teachers in Isiolo municipality. On 13th July 2021, the Teacher Service Commission, TSC, signed collective bargaining agreements, CBA, with the Kenya National Union of Teachers, NAT, Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPET, and Kenya Union of Special Needs Education Teachers, KUSNET, setting out the terms and conditions of service for teachers for the period 2021 to 2025. Following the advisory from the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC, the Commission and the Teachers Union reviewed the CBAs and signed an addendum on 28 August 2023. It was agreed that the reviewed CBA be implemented in 2 phases, effective July 2023. The first phase of the enhanced salaries was successfully implemented in the period 1st July 2023 to 30th June 2024. The Commission is currently implementing the second phase with effect from 1st July 2024. To this end, the Commission enhanced both the basic salary and house allowance to all teachers in its service, including the teacher from Isiolo municipality. Specifically, with respect to enhancement of the house allowance, the CBA categorized payment of house allowance based on the stations where teachers are assigned to teach. To this end, with effect from 1st July 2024, payment of house allowance is done based on 3 categories, namely Nairobi, major municipalities, and other areas. The major municipalities, as per the advisory from SRC, are Kisumu, Mombasa, Nakuru, Eldoret, Kisii, Nyeri, Thika, Malindi, and Kitale. The rest of the areas in the country, including Isiolo municipality, attract house allowance under Cluster 3. Notably, prior to 1st July 2024, teachers in Isiolo municipality were earning house allowance under Cluster 4. Accordingly, pursuant to the advisory from SRC and the consequent signing of the addendum to the 2021-2025 CBA, teachers in Isiolo municipality are earning enhanced house allowance under Cluster 3. Appendix 5, a copy of the CBA is one of the addendums. Question 2, measures the Commission is undertaking to ensure timely and fair remuneration of teachers in Gazette municipalities, including the outstanding payments since 2018 and the timelines for implementation. The response is, pursuant to SRC advisory, the Commission has implemented payment of enhanced house allowance to teachers formerly in Cluster 4, that is other areas. Accordingly, teachers in municipalities are paid enhanced house allowance accordingly. Accordingly, there is no outstanding payments for house allowance. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mumina, are you satisfied? And I think that will also cover the question you sought today.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, the reason why I've brought back this question once again this morning, and I had a session within the committee to listen to their response, is because it's not true that the schools that have listed here are earning house allowance under Cluster 3. That is not the case, and I think that needs to be answered. Thank you.
Did you present before the committee, like maybe the documentation?
Yes, I did.
So that it's not a word against the committee.
I don't understand why they're insisting those schools are earning house allowance under Cluster 3 when the reality is not the case.
No, the question I'm asking, you said you appeared before the committee?
I did.
Did you
twice.
give them the
yes.
documentation?
Yes.
Did the
and
committee
I'm surprised.
receive the documentation?
Honorable Speaker, I think if we all listen to the statement, it says, prior to 1st July 2024, teachers in Isiolo municipalities were earning house allowance under Cluster 4. So she's right on what she's saying. But also, if she was keen, earlier I had said, to this end, with effect from 1st July 2024, payments of house allowance is done based on 3 categories, which they go ahead to say, based on the addendum, the Commission is currently implementing the second phase with effect from 1st July 2024. So it's correct. They may not be earning because it is now that the whole thing is being implemented. This response, you were with us in the committee, was barely 3-4 weeks ago. So the implementation phase should not have lapsed, as they had said.
Is that in order, Honorable Mumina?
Madam Speaker, that is clear. Probably what the committee needs to tell us is how soon that will be done, so that we don't bring such questions to the floor of the House again.
Okay. Right, I hope that's noted by the committee. Thank you very much. So allow us to move to question number, there's response to the question statement by Major Barrow, member for Garissa Township, as being, the statement is being given by the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Affairs Relations Committee. But is Honorable Barrow here? Okay, so you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member for Garissa Township Constituency, Honorable Major Retired Deco Barrow, MP, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 42.2c, requested for a statement from the Cabinet Secretary for Defense regarding the non-compliance of a High Court judgment awarding compensation to the family of the late Abdullahi Baradis, who succumbed to injuries allegedly sustained after being shot by personnel of the Kenya Defense Forces in Garissa. Specifically, the Honorable Member sought to be informed on one, a report on actions being taken by the Ministry of Defense and the Office of the Attorney General to comply with the High Court judgment awarding compensation to the family of Mr. Abdullahi Baradis, and number two, a report on the administrative or disciplinary measures taken against KDF officers involved in the alleged unlawful killing, and whether there exists a defined time-bound plan to compensate the affected family. The committee engaged the Ministry of Defense, Madam Speaker, on the matters raised by Honorable Deco and received a response on 22nd July 2025, and I therefore wish to respond as follows. Madam Speaker, regarding the matter of actions being taken by the Ministry of Defense and the Office of the Attorney General to comply with the High Court judgment, the Ministry of Defense stated that it's not privy to any suit of legal process in which it or the Attorney General has been found liable in order to compensate the deceased family. The Ministry has therefore requested that should the Honourable Member or any party be in possession of the copy of the judgment referred to it, it shall be formally transmitted to the Ministry for consideration and further action. On the second issue, Madam Speaker, the matter regarding the administrative or disciplinary measures taken against the implicated KDF officers, the Ministry has reported that no such measures have been instituted. The Ministry explained that given the absence of any formal notification or evidence of judicial pronouncement attributing culpability to specific KDF personnel, it is not deemed it is necessary to commence disciplinary proceedings or compensatory process. Madam Speaker, of the official statement, I've also this morning engaged Honorable Major Dako, and I have invited, just in case he's not satisfied with his response, as there could be some gray areas. The committee, the Ministry of Defense will be appearing before my committee next week on Tuesday, and I invite Honorable Deko to also appear before the committee, just in case he's not satisfied with this response. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Honorable Barrow.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I got the response from the committee, written response, but I want to state that the answer given by the chair is not satisfactory because, Madam Speaker, I have documentary evidence in terms of communication between the Ministry of Defense or the other Department of Defense and the lawyers for the family. So the case is known. The ministry has all these documents. They have communicated with asked for other documents so that they get, they follow up on the issue in the past, and that was sometime 2023. So, Madam Speaker, as stated by the chair of the Defense Committee, we have just talked this morning, and I am going to attend or appear on the 12th of this month, as said by the Defense Chair. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Nikar.
Madam Speaker, I wish to request that last week on Thursday, there was a response that we gave on behalf of the committee.
Honorable Nyikala, I was going to give you a chance once we finish with this. You're going to be next. Let's just complete this. I think chairperson for the Defense and Intelligence Committee, because I think this is a recurring problem. I've seen it in many questions. So rather than deal with it on answering on each individual person, it's better that they indicate what is their policy when such matters arise. Okay, thank you. And honorable members, we had a question that was supposed to be asked by the member for Central Limeti, Honorable Kirima, but he's not present, so we shall defer it to a later date. Meanwhile, we can proceed. Honorable Nyikal, I'll now give you a chance to answer that question. To respond to the question that had been sought by the Health Committee.
Honorable Speaker, last week on the Thursday sitting in the afternoon, on behalf of the committee, I did respond to a question that was raised by Honorable Irene Kasali regarding regarding a body that was retained in Kenyatta, and it raised many issues of the constitutional propriety, the legal propriety of retaining bodies in order to enforce payment of social fees, a matter that was actually left for our committee to look into, and actually the whole House, that we need a law in relation to that. It was also pointed out that there is actually a court case that has indicated that it's not legal to retain bodies. So the Speaker then directed that we make sure that that body is released with immediate effect, and we had to report yesterday afternoon, and that was not possible. So that's why I'm requesting that I give the report that the body has since been released to the family, although having been detained for a long time, almost over a year, and as requested by the Speaker and many members in the House who supported that, the body has been released, and I'm informed that actually the relatives have taken the body for the appropriate burial ceremonies. And, Honourable Speaker, that is all I wanted to report. Honourable Irene Kasalu is here. She may, with your permission, probably confirm to the House that that has happened.
Honourable Kasalu, are you satisfied?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to confirm that the family was given, the body was released to them yesterday, and they did perform the burial ceremony for the deceased. However, Madam Speaker, I wish to say that as a country, we need a way forward, because there are still so many bodies. In fact, this morning I received another concern of a body from Kitui County which is still held at Kenyatta Hospital. So I think it's important that the committee comes with a long-lasting solution so that our people are not burdened. They are yet grieved, they have already lost a relative, but they are not given the chance immediately to bury their beloved one. But I do wish to confirm, Madam Speaker, that the body was released and it has been buried. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Nguse.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to appreciate Nyikal for the good job he has done, and my sister for assisting that family in getting their body. But, Madam Speaker, we need to come up with a solution as a country. So many bodies, even including bodies more than lasting in hospitals for more than 2 years. Recently, I had a case we had to do the same through the effort of the former chair of health, Mr. Pukose, and Dr. Pukose, and it was really disturbing. So we need to come away with the way forward. If a body is lasting for more than a month in an hospital, it should be released without even coercing the hospital to do so. Let us have humanity and respect the dead bodies so that we can give them respect. Madam Speaker, I think we should be looking forward to coming up with a bill, and probably Madam Kasalu can take that initiative to ensure we don't have these cases in our country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Nyikal, I think you've noted that, and those are things that can be resolved through regulations, not even an act of parliament. Yes, Honorable Ochanda?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as we handle these isolated cases, we need to recognize that as this is happening in Kenyatta, there are many more that are happening elsewhere. But we need to differentiate, Chair, what happens in public hospitals and those that happen in private hospitals. Then many times we realize that treatment, the process of treatment starts in a private facility, then the body ends up in a public facility. The private facility, on the other hand, is not paid for purpose of managing a patient, not managing a dead body. Yet, the bodies finally are in a public facility. So the process of healing, or in the process of trying to cure patients, and finally patients are coming to death, and then there are these amounts of money, bills that are incurred. I think this is where there's a big problem. Many times, bodies are not held because of the period that the bodies are lying in the morgues. But many more times, we realize bodies are held because there are bills that were accruing before the death. And many times, hospitals see that that's the opportunity that can make those who are concerned, the opportunity that the relatives and whoever were able to pay, were supposed to be paying for the health services, end up that that's not paid, and they put that together with the issue of the mortuary bills. So, Madam Speaker, I think this is where we need to put a distinction. Is it a distinction in terms of the cost of the morgue or the cost of health services rendered before somebody succumbs? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Nyikal. I think you've noted that. And before we proceed, I would like to recognize the presence of Blue Bee Academy from Vita constituency, Mombasa County. They are seated in the public gallery. And we also have another school seated in the speaker's gallery, St. Angelica and Charles School from Kiminini constituency, Trans Nzoia County. On behalf of the substantive speaker and the entire House, I wish to welcome you to the National Assembly. Thank you. So, honorable members, I would like us now to move to, allow me to reorder the order paper. And instead of going to order number 9, I would like us to go to order number 13. Yeah, Honorable Shakil.
Order number 13, motion, expression of concern on the Middle East conflict.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move this motion on the expression of concern on the Middle East conflict, that aware Kenya that rectified the United Nations Charter on Human Rights on the 31st of July 1990, further recollecting that among the rights enshrined in the Charter is the right to life and self-determination by the people, cognizant of the fact that the Israeli occupation of Palestine territory in Gaza and the West Bank has been characterized by disproportionate and indiscriminate use of force. Concerned that this has deepened the humanitarian crisis in the region, including destruction of infrastructure, widespread civilian casualties, and the willful killing of Palestinian civilians, including children, in the occupied territories by Israeli army. Noting that these grave breaches amount to war crimes, flagrant violation of international humanitarian law, and crimes against humanity. Concerned that the recent escalation of hostilities between Israel and Iran, including the cross-border strikes and retaliatory attacks, threaten to engulf the wider Middle East region in conflict. recalling that Kenya has previously suffered attacks on its soil as a result of the Middle East conflict, including the 2002 attack on Paradise Hotel in Kimbala. Appreciating that the United Nations General Assembly recently passed a resolution demanding an end to the Israeli unlawful occupation of Palestinian territories and urging compliance with international law. Further appreciating that the urgent need for the international community, including the regional powers and the United Nations Security Council, to intensify diplomatic efforts aimed at achieving an immediate ceasefire, facilitating humanitarian access, and initiating inclusive peace negotiations in the Middle East. Appreciative of the fact of the role of Kenya has played regionally and internationally in global peace initiatives and in mitigating violations constituting crimes against humanity, and in solidarity with the Palestinian civilians subjugated by Israel. This House, expresses deep concern over the dangerous escalation in hostilities in the Middle East that threaten the international peace and security across the Middle East and beyond. B, affirms Kenya's proactive commitment to a peaceful resolution of disputes through negotiation, diplomacy, and adherence to the principles of United Nations Charter. 3, urges all parties to the conflict to protect civilian lives and infrastructure in accordance with the Geneva Convention and the international humanitarian law, and to exercise maximum restraint and immediately cease further acts of aggression, including aerial bombardments, missile strikes, and all other forms of military escalation. And 4, calls on the international community, including the United Nations and the regional powers, to intensify diplomatic efforts aimed at de-escalation of the restoration of dialogue and a return to the frameworks of international law. Madam Speaker, this is becoming inhumane. This is one of the worst tragedies that we have come across. Rwanda there was a genocide which the world ignored. Gaza is only 25 miles wide and 7 miles long, smaller than a Nairobi National Park. Yet every single building has been destroyed. There is famine, which is induced famine. The food is there. The Israeli army will not allow the food in. They are even putting the food distribution points at very distances and shooting to kill children and others who are now scrambling for the food. I want to also condemn Hamas. Hamas is also to be condemned. They are the reason for this particular problem, and they've been there for a long time. We demand that Hamas release those Israeli hostages immediately. The Muslim faith, Madam Speaker, as professed by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has always put down that the prisoners must be treated well. The commander, one of our top commanders called Salahuddin, when they captured Jerusalem, not a single life was lost. This is becoming unheard of. It appears the victims of violence and the Holocaust, the Jews, are now, through Israel, becoming the worst oppressors, bombing instead of gassing. This, Madam Speaker, is equivalent to a mini Holocaust. And I don't think the majority of the Israeli citizens and the Jewish citizens will even want to be part of this unlawful and inhumane treatment for the Palestinian brothers. Madam Speaker, Africa needs to support this particular proposal. The United Kingdom, France, and Europe has already started the negotiations, and in September will recognize Palestine. We are hoping that Kenya will follow suit. We have a problem not with the Israeli government, not with the Israeli people, but with Netanyahu and his gang of crooks who has taken this thing and is now killing everybody like a Holocaust in Gaza. The Israeli community have already started objecting to this thing. Finally, Madam Speaker, I urge this Kenya country to kindly recognize this, and I want to condemn the Muslim countries who have said nothing, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and others. The only one country that has actually stood out to try and help is Doha. So we commend Doha, and we condemn all the other Muslim countries for allowing this huge tragedy to occur. With those, Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Okay, honorable members, let me. Where is your seconder, Honorable Shakil?
Second. I propose and request Honorable Karoli to second.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Shakil, for asking me to second this important motion on expression of concern on the Middle East conflict. Honorable Speaker, there's been a lot of human suffering over the years as regards the Middle East conflict. And it is a conflict that emerged just about 80 years ago when the British decided to exit the Middle East and to carve out the Middle Eastern states. As they created those borders, they felt that the Jewish people deserved a nation and that they would be assisted to settle in the Middle East and claim historical ancestry there. Unfortunately, this has led to very many years of suffering, both to the Jews as well as to the Palestinians, but mostly to the Palestinians, because of lack of military strength, but also being taken advantage, not just by various interest groups, but also by the Arab nations themselves. It is important that we add our voice to the international call to find a lasting solution to the Middle East conflict. As Kenya, we have suffered many times. We have stood firmly with the State of Israel historically and over a long period of time, and I believe we will continue to do so. But that notwithstanding, we have a duty as members of the international community to respect the right of self-determination for the Palestinian people, and to stand up when humanity is on the verge of losing its sanity, and children, over 60,000 children and women and the old, have been killed over a span of less than 1 year. There is a clear case of genocide going on in Gaza. There is now a clear attempt to dislocate people, to relocate them, and basically what amounts to ethnic cleansing. And the voice of Kenya and Africa should be heard, as people who have also suffered such indignity in the past. It is quite unfortunate that a state with great history as Israel is embroiled in this particular conflict at present. As you have seen, a lot of former leaders in Israel have called out the current Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, to relook at the situation in Gaza. A lot of Jews get out every Saturday to show solidarity with the world in search of peace for Israel and the Palestinians. It is not clear to us what is going on there, because majority seem to value peace, but there's a small group that are hell-bent on ensuring that there's no peace, there's no two-state solution. The Palestinians don't get their right to self-determination, and that Israel does not live in peace with its neighbors. I think as this motion proposes, we should support all the international initiatives that are ongoing and also keep the pressure for calling for peace. And it is interesting, it is good that the states of United Kingdom, Canada, Sweden, and France now intend to formally recognize the state of Palestine by September. I think that is the right way to go. You cannot subject a people for so long to such atrocities without mercy, and we all keep quiet as if it is not happening under our watch. It may be very difficult, and Kenya may not have a lot of strength, but at least we should speak. We have a voice. People should know we support Israel. We want Israel to live in peace, to be secure, but we also want the Palestinians to have their right to self-determination. So with those remarks, I fully support this motion, and I hope Kenya will find its voice, Africa will find its voice in trying to bring peace to the Middle East and end the suffering of the Palestinian people and free the hostages that you saw being slowly killed. And also to call the neighbors of Israel and the Palestinians to stop taking advantage of the Palestinian question to advance their military and regional hegemonic interests instead of pursuing peace and justice. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that aware that Kenya ratified the United Nations Charter on Human Rights on the 31st of July 1990, and further recollecting that among the rights enshrined in the Charter is the right to life and self-determination by the people. Cognizant of the fact that Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territory in Gaza and the West Bank has been characterized by disproportionate and indiscriminate use of force. Concerned that this has deepened the humanitarian crisis in the region, including the destruction of infrastructure, widespread civilian casualties, and willful killing of Palestinian civilians, including children in the occupied territories by the Israeli army, noting that these grave breaches amount to war crimes, flagrant violations of international humanitarian law, crimes against humanity, and concerned that the recent escalation of hostilities between Israel and Iran, including cross-border strikes and retaliatory attacks, threatens to engulf the wider Middle East region in conflict. Recalling that Kenya has previously suffered attacks on its soil as a result of the Middle East conflict, including the 2002 attack on the Paradise Hotel in Kikambala, and appreciating that the United Nations General Assembly recently passed a resolution demanding an end to Israel's unlawful occupation of Palestinian territories and urging compliance with international law. Further appreciating the urgent need for the international community, including regional powers and the United Nations Security Council, to intensify diplomatic efforts aimed at achieving an immediate ceasefire, facilitating humanitarian access, and initiating inclusive peace negotiations in the Middle East, and appreciative of the role Kenya has played regionally and internationally in global peace initiatives and in mitigating violations constituting crimes against humanity, and in solidarity with the Palestinian civilians subjugated by Israel. This House, therefore, 1, expresses deep concern over the dangerous escalation in hostilities in the Middle East that threatens international peace and security across the Middle East and beyond. 2, reaffirms Kenya's proactive commitment to peaceful resolution of disputes through negotiation, diplomacy, and adherence to the principles of the United Nations Charter. 3, urges all parties to the conflict to protect civilian lives and infrastructure in accordance with the Geneva Conventions and the international humanitarian law, and to exercise maximum restraint, immediately cease further acts of aggression, including aerial bombardments, missile attacks, and other forms of military escalation. And 4, calls on the international community, including United Nations and regional powers, to intensify diplomatic efforts aimed at de-escalation and the restoration of dialogue and a return of frameworks of international law. Honorable members, those who want to contribute to this? Yes, I can't see who that is. Oh, yes, Honorable Hillary, I couldn't see you, they're too far. Give him the mic. Yes, what's your point of order, Honorable Chege?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, though I'll also stand and support the motion, I think, Madam Speaker, I just needed to raise a matter on how business is being run this morning in this House. Madam Speaker, first, I just want to register my disappointment that my motion, the question was put, and you had to jump from order number 7 to order number 8 and go back. I don't know what was the urgency this morning, and I can see there was already a purported plan to fail my motion. Though members are allowed to express themselves, Madam Speaker, I think this was a very important motion. The hurriedness to put the question, I don't know what prompted that. But Madam Speaker, number 2, even as we go to, and I would wish to support the motion at hand, the breastfeeding bill.
Stick to your point of order.
Yeah,
so
that's it. The breastfeeding bill,
yes.
I'm there, Madam Speaker, was second at the order. As a mover also of the bill, I was not consulted, and why it had to be stepped down and why we had to go to the motion. I think courtesy calls for the person who is moving the motion just to be informed that we need to jump and go to a different order. Because, Madam Speaker, there was a lot of preparation on this. This bill has waited for many years. This is almost the third time the bill is coming to this parliament. Actually, it is the third time. So it comes in, there's unnecessary delays, and somehow the time of parliament goes in, it elapses. Okay. So, Madam Speaker, I just wanted to raise those 2 issues, that I actually want to register my disappointment on how, 1, my motion was rushed. I don't know why. And from the last week, Madam Speaker, I'd gotten a lot of support from the members, actually of members who spoke for. So this urgent thing of putting the question, the nays and people shouting here, I have taken great reception, Madam Speaker.
Yes,
and I want just to say, as I finalize, Madam Speaker, I think if we are serious that we want to accelerate attainment of universal health coverage, we must be very serious as a House. For this policy of 2020-2030 of VAT to be achieved,
Honorable
this
Sabina
House
Chege,
must be very, very, very serious,
Honorable
Madam
Sabina
Speaker.
Chege,
and whether the private sector want to fight.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Honorable Sabina Chege, you see, you're debating your motion, which was on motion number 8. Let me just allow me to explain. I listened to you very silently. I just want to explain to you that your motion was debated extensively. And today, when it came on the order paper, all that was left to be done, if you look at the order paper, is question to be put. So there was no debate. And in fact, you were not present. You arrived late. Yes, but yes, I know it is order number 8, and kindly be respectful. You can see that there was no administration of oath. There was no communication from the chair. There were no messages. There were no petitions. There were no papers. There were no notices of motion. There was only questions and statements which were dealt with. So even though it's order number 8, if there is no other, or the other orders don't have any substantive matters to be raised, then we actually get very quickly to order number 8, and we had 8 questions before your motion. And at the time, when the order was called, all the speaker can do is to put the question as set out in the order paper. And so there was no rush. There was no other activity on your motion other than for the question to be put. So for you to insinuate that there was some other agenda, I think is wrong, and I will expect you to apologize shortly. Hold on, I haven't finished with you. I expect you to apologize because it says question to be put. You are not present, you are absent. And when you are absent yourself, if you had been here, you could have mobilized members to vote in favor of your motion. So you can't have a motion and expect it to happen suo moto. You've got to be here to lobby. That is what members of parliament do when they want their motion to pass. And on the issue that I exercise my discretion, which is permitted by the standing orders, to move to order number 13 was because it was upon the request of Honorable Member for Kisumu East, Honorable Shabil Shakir, at the beginning of the House, he requested that he's in part of the preparatory committee for the preparations of the funeral arrangements for the late Phoebe Isiolo, and he requested that if he can have his motion come earlier, to allow him to leave to go and attend to those matters. And I think I considered that was a reasonable request, considering that he comes from the same county as the late Honorable Phoebe Isiolo, and I did allow him to have his motion come in first so that he can move to other business. Had you arrived early, you could have requested also that you want yours to come with urgency. But in any case, it's the next one after we finish with order number 13. And I now request your apology for insinuating bad faith or that there was a sinister agenda when you are in fact not present in the House yourself.
Madam Speaker, I will refuse to apologize on this. Because, Madam Speaker, I think there are records. It's a House of Records. And in terms of questions, I was around, Madam Speaker, and I was following up. And I knew what was coming up. I was following the order paper. And the questions and statements that were being read, they were not done. I want to say, I think Honorable, the member, the Women Rep Isiolo, was on the floor. When you actually said, let's first go to order number 8, and then you went back to order number 7. So I don't know why I should apologize, Madam Speaker. And it's not that I was late. I was actually around. I was waiting. I have been in this House, Madam Speaker. This is my third term. So it's also not right just to say, like, I didn't know what follows and the lobbying and everything, yes. Madam Speaker. And I also know what happens around this House, Madam Speaker. I said I take great exception. It is okay, the motion has gone, but I take great exception. I will have to look at the way that we can be able to help Kenyans have enough money and have enough financing in our public institutions.
Honorable Sabina Chege, and I think also you've been in the House long enough to know that usually when we start on Wednesday, the moment we have quorum, if there are any matters for questions to be put, they take priority before we lose quorum. So usually that is the standard practice. And I think anybody will be able to tell you that. And now you're not listening, but I think you know that. Honorable Sabina, you've heard that? That usually, if you look at normal practice, whenever there are questions to be put, the moment we have quorum, we put the questions immediately. In fact, we reorder the order paper so that we don't lose quorum and not be able to put the question. In fact, the reason why the question wasn't put previously on your motion is because we didn't have quorum. So when we had quorum at the nearest appropriate time, then we did, in fact, proceed. And for other delays on your other bills coming to the order paper, I think you can take that with the House Business Committee. They're the ones in charge of the order paper. Thank you. Let us proceed. Any members who want to contribute to order number 13? Honorable Nyikal. Oh, yes, you are on the floor, Honorable Hillary. Then I'll come to you, Honorable Nyikal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to join my colleague, Karoli Omondi, in sympathizing with the situation in Gaza. Madam Speaker, This morning, CNN was airing very painful images of children facing starvation in Gaza. And Madam Speaker, this has been a result of a catastrophic conflict between nations. Madam Speaker, it is estimated that 2.2 million people in Gaza have been displaced, and the death toll stands at 52,000 people, Madam Speaker. And the catastrophe, if unattended to, will blow to unimaginable levels, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as a citizen of Kenya and as a citizen of the world, I have read, followed closely the happenings in the Middle East, Madam Speaker. And since 1948, when the nation of Israel was born, that country has been forced to survive and to fight for its own existence. Madam Speaker, for years, Israel has been fighting conflicts caused by hostile nations. And Madam Speaker, the latest conflict is worse because it is a conflict between a nation and a terrorist organization. Madam Speaker, the Palestinian nation has a president called Mahmoud Abbas, who does not control his country. The country is in the hands of terrorists, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Hamas is a terrorist organization, Madam Speaker, that is well known.
What is your point of order, Member for Ajir?
Madam Speaker, it's so misleading the House that Palestinians are in their own historical land. They are motherland. They can't be termed as terrorists. They are seeking for freedom, recognition for what is rightfully theirs. The member is so much misleading to term Palestinians, desperate people who are not armed, calling them terrorists. Indeed, it is the well-equipped and armed Israeli government that...
Yes, you honorable member, you'll have a chance to debate it. Let us just, you've at least given him the information. Proceed, Honorable Hillary.
Madam Speaker, I don't know whether the member is listening to me. Take time, Mheshimiwa, to listen to what we are saying. I have said the Palestinian country is led by a president called Mahmoud Abbas. It is a free nation. But the Palestinian president has left his country to be controlled by an evil terrorist organization called Hamas. And that is in plain and in public domain, Madam Speaker. And therefore, as I debate and as I sympathize with the people of Gaza, Madam Speaker, it is also time to call the Palestinian Authority their conscience. They have said nothing about the Israeli hostages who are equally starving like the children of Gaza. They have never condemned Hamas within their own country, Madam Speaker. And therefore, as we sympathize with this conflict, Madam Speaker, we want the Palestinian Authority to come out clearly, condemn the terrorist network called Hamas, free their country from the terrorist network, form a government, and coexist peacefully alongside the nation of Israel, Madam Speaker. That is all I am asking, Madam Speaker, this morning. And Madam Speaker, it is time the international community also understands that the threat in the Middle East has always been the nation of Israel, who some nations have refused to allow to live freely in their own land. The nation of Israel, Madam Speaker, has been fighting not only Hamas, they have been fighting Houthis, sponsored by foreign governments within the Middle East. For peace to be found in that country, nation, and in that zone, Madam Speaker, people must speak the truth to themselves. That why doesn't Hamas release the Israeli hostages? And why doesn't the Palestinian Authority condemn the terrorist networks in their own country? And why is the nation of Israel also, Madam Speaker, using excessive force and refusing humanitarian aid to reach to the millions of people suffering in Gaza, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, from where I sit, this is a conflict, a two-nation conflict, and we are calling on the international community, led by the United States, the United Nations, and all the voices from the European Union and even the African Union, Madam Speaker. It is time that they must speak and speak right about the question in Gaza, because we want to sympathize with the children of Gaza, but we also must sympathize with the hostages under the hands of terrorism, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, as I support this motion to call for urgent international attention, let there be fairness, let emotions be removed out of this matter, and we get a two-state solution where Israel and Palestine can coexist peacefully, and the threat of terrorism is removed from that face. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Nika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a terrible situation in the world where the international community keeps silent. Same way as what is happening in Sudan right now. As Mr. Speaker, this has a long history, a biblical in nature, and the dispersion of the Israeli people across the world in actually biblical times. But it peaks after the Second World War, during the Holocaust that was attributed to Hitler. And what was done to the Jews that time is totally unforgivable. What Hitler did was not acceptable. And the search for a homeland for the Israelis actually was worldwide after the Second World War. You may be surprised that there was even a consideration that they can be settled in Uganda. Now, that is the history. But by that time, the British actually colonized the area that was known as Palestine. And it's actually the way they handed over Palestine that actually created the problem. The British made it possible that the Israelis could settle there, but they were still in charge. But when they left, I really didn't think they looked forward on how the two communities were there would coexist and set up a situation that has never been solved. Of course, there is the organization known as Hamas, but there was even the Palestinian Liberation Organization before that was in this place. And therefore, there has been many wars. But what we are seeing today actually started in October, and that was attributed to Hamas when the Israelis were attacked, and about 1,000 people were killed. Then, in retaliation, the Israeli government under Netanyahu took very drastic measures. And in my mind, when you are aggrieved, there is a level to which you respond. Then you go beyond that level. What is happening in Gaza now, if you watch the international news? This morning, I was listening under BBC to a mother who was given birth in Israel, and the formula feed is $30. And I know how many per teen, and I know how many teens a baby needs, and you are buying it at $30. All the buildings in the small strip called Gaza have literally been destroyed. Hospitals have been bombed. Schools have been bombed. Even the food distribution is a problem. Now, when food was being distributed under the auspices of the United Nations, I think the Israeli government raised objection and actually stopped it. then an organization called by an organization formed by the Israelis now started distributing food. But the tragedy is that even when the Palestinians go to collect food in the food distribution points, they are being killed. Surely, you can respond to an injustice, but you cannot meet injustice on helpless people. I do not support Hamas, nor do I think the women and the children who are actually dying now support Hamas. They are helpless about this issue. So in my view, I think the retaliation on the part of the Netanyahu government is now out of proportion with what Hamas has done. And again, I find it difficult to believe that at this point, Hamas still has the strength and live in Israel to actually even organize what is going on. The place has little been raised down. So I think it has reached a point, even the Israelis themselves now think that we've reached a point where this to go is no longer necessary. In fact, in my view, we are seeing another Holocaust. I don't see the difference between what is happening now and what happened in 1945 to the Israeli people. The same feeling we should have had then is the same feeling we should have now. So I think Netanyahu must see that the world may now start to see him in the same way that the world was seeing Hitler then. So in fairness, I support this, that the world should actually look at this in terms of the innocent people, the children that are dying. Whatever way they want to deal with Hamas, I think the people and the children must be protected. And in this one, the role of the United States of America is also very interesting. It does look to somebody from us like me that actually they are behind the strength that makes it possible to actually do a catastrophic destruction of human beings and human habitat to the extent that it's actually justified to call it a genocide. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I think the silence of the international world, international community is now unacceptable, and we should look at the way that the Palestinians can now be helped, and the principle of the two-state solution should be looked at. Just like the Israelis, the Jews were helpless in 1947, so are the Palestinians now. So I, Mr. Speaker, support the motion that the international community should actually look at this. And as Kenyans, I know where our foreign policy is, but I think this one is now humanitarian, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion.
Order, 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 order. All members, let's welcome students from Jam Academy, Moiben constituency, Osingishu County, students from Timbila Junior Secondary School, Taveta constituency in Taveta County, and students from Olo Ringanayo School, Narok South, Narok County. They are all sitting in the public gallery, and they are welcomed for our proceedings this morning. Next in line to contribute to this is the Honorable Member for Westlands.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much also to contribute to this motion. Honorable Speaker, what is going on in the Middle East is something that should worry the whole world, because this is an area that is so volatile that people are living in fear of being attacked. Not in Israel, not in Palestine, in all those regions, Mr. Speaker. And it has been such an issue that we wonder what the UN is doing about it. The big nations, the NATO and all us, US, the European Union, Mr. Speaker, this is time now that we call for a humanitarian solution. We need to find a lasting solution for the Middle East because as it's going, innocent people are suffering. People have been displaced from their homes. And when you see the scenes on media, Honorable Speaker, they are deplorable. And you wonder how even anyone is living in that area or how they are going about their business. Mr. Speaker, the reaction even of the Israelis who seem to be initially defending themselves from the initial attack, it has now escalated into a monumental levels that needs urgent intervention. When there was war in Ukraine, Russia bombing Ukraine, almost the whole world ran there to stop it. But now, what is happening in the Middle East, I don't know why the world is not taking any action. Even when we look at the humanitarian support to those children and women in Gaza, Mr. Speaker, it's not even being, they can't be accessed because of the hostility that is going on there. You don't even know when the whole place had been rest down, and now it's looking like, Mr. Speaker, if that is how hell looks like, then it is terrible. I just want to support this motion that the world must come together. The UN, the powerful nations, to come up and find a lasting solution to this thing, because it is going to escalate and the whole world is going to come to a standstill and everybody is going to suffer. It will escalate to not just in the Middle East, but to the whole world. So we have to look at how we might find a lasting solution to this hostility. And also, I think the Israel Prime Minister has also, Mr. Speaker, overreacted from the attack of the Hamas. We know they had told the Hamas, I think, a deadly blow, and I don't think Hamas can even survive even now, to have even the force to fight back. But now that has gone beyond Hamas and Israel. It is now a regional conflict that needs to be looked into, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to look at the humanitarian support and how lasting peace must be established in this region. I know Israel is a state that lives in a very hostile environment. And at one time, even I know the Iranians, Mr. Speaker, in support of the Palestinians, also attacked Israel, I think. And it looked like now the war has gone beyond the conflict that was there originally between the Palestinian and the Israel. Now it is a regional war. And Israel, I don't know how they even fight all those wars by themselves. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to support that we must find a lasting solution, and the UN and the world together, Mr. Speaker, must come up and stop these wars. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Wajir North. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've listened to various members contributing on this debate, and they give a perception that Hamas is indeed a terrorist organization. I entirely disagree. Hamas are two freedom fighters fighting for the recognition of Palestine, their own land, independence, which they are entitled. If we have to define terrorism in the lens of United States of America or any country backing Israel, then we will be misleading the world. People who are seeking for freedom, the right to govern themselves, self-determination, these are the people who are worth being supported. They can't be called terrorists just the way apartheid, in fighting apartheid, people of South Africa were termed as terrorists. Actually, Hamas is a freedom-seeking entity, so legit, and are the right people to support, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let us not forget about history, how Israel as a state was being formed. In 1948, a conspiracy between the British and the French trying to redraw boundaries of what was belonging to Palestine as a land. It entirely sits on Palestine land. This is a fact in history that cannot be ignored. That aside, United Nations has failed. The veto powers are the ones who are supporting these atrocities, extermination of the Palestinian community, women and children, the vulnerable lot in the society. Free aid, food aid cannot actually move to where it is needed. There is bombardment, extermination of what is really Palestine. That cannot be accepted. Palestinians are in Palestine. Palestinians can only be eliminated when there will be an earthquake, not the way in which Netanyahu is misbehaving. The superpowers that were always preaching us on good governance, the rule of law, democracy, a good world order, are the same ones betraying the world, are the ones watching the death of women and children, starving children to hunger. This is unacceptable, Mr. Speaker. This desperation has never been realized, the level of desperation in the world. I mean, this cannot be accepted. It can no longer be tolerated. There must be a state of Palestine that can govern itself, determine its own issues. Weapons from United States of America are being used to kill women and children. The US, the superpower, is watching without any kind of involvement. And every time they speak, they always talk of Hamas. They always talk of Hamas, a freedom fighter, a fighting entity. Mr. Speaker, this is the same country that has been crying of Holocaust. Today, what's happening is worse than Holocaust. They are trying to kill everybody, vulnerable people, women and children seeking water, relief, food. I mean, what can only happen is people should be moving out of what is United Nations, because the United Nations Charter on Human Rights is entirely abused, Mr. Speaker. So mine is to call on the world, to order at least. The superpowers have failed. US is part and parcel of these atrocities. And I think the only way is for the rest of the world to join and make sure that this doesn't continue anymore. With those few contributions, I support. Thank you.
Thank you. The member for Kitui Rural.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me also support this motion, but I also don't want to say what the mover has said, that President Netanyahu is leading a gang of people to kill Palestinians. I think that one was not in order, to call a sitting president to say that the president is leading a gang. Mr. Speaker, the conflict in the Middle East is historical. And you remember there's one time Palestinians and the Islamic countries, they ganged up to fight Israel. And this conflict over years, it has caused death of very many people. A lot of people have been displaced, children have been killed, and women. And when you see what is happening currently, you can see a lot of bombing of buildings, a lot of bombing of schools, a lot of bombings of hospitals and homes. People have been displaced, and it's quite serious, because you also realize that even when the people are going to get food, they are also bombed. So therefore, it's very high time for the international community to intervene and stop this war and suffering of the people of Gaza. Mr. Speaker, one reason why I think this war cannot end easily is some of the countries have taken sides. When you realize that they have started the conflict, you realize US and European countries are somehow supporting Israel. And if they are supporting Israel, this war cannot end. It's high time, because those are the big countries which control the international community, the international policing, to be neutral and intervene and stop this suffering which has been going on, so that people can stop suffering. Mr. Speaker, this conflict has also affected us. You remember the terrorists bombing of 1988 of Cooperative Bank House, where we lost over 200 people. And these are because of the conflict, whereby now the terrorist gangs are also born out of this conflict. So it's high time the international community intervene. It's high time our brothers, the Muslims and the Christians, sit down and say no to this kind of conflict, because everybody is suffering. Not only Israel, but not only Muslims, but also the Israelis are also suffering at the same time. So I think I support this motion, but let's debate it in a sober manner so that at least we can look for a solution. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The member for Migori County.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity you've given me. I 100% support this motion. Mr. Speaker, the situation in Palestine is terrible. It cannot be compared to anything else in this world. Mr. Speaker, the children and the women walk over 12 kilometers to get food and water. And the sad part is, they are lured to walk 12 kilometers to get food and water, but they do not arrive with that food and water. Neither do they drink the water, because they are shot at that site where they are receiving food. How else would you not support Palestinians to get their freedom? Mr. Speaker, over 170 countries in the UN have recognized Palestine for their freedom, for all that they are fighting for. What are other countries doing not to support Palestine? It is honestly that these people are in their own country. They have not gone to anyone's country to claim that land. They are in their own land, and it is God who chose to put them there. Why are they being moved from their land? Mr. Speaker, the UN Women estimates 28,000 women and children have been killed since the war in 2023. 28,000 women. It is women who give birth to a generation. And so if the women are left without husbands and the few that are left are killed, the meaning is they want Palestine out of this world. But I want to warn those who support such oppression that God is watching. You might be so strong, but you can't be stronger than God. You might have all the weapons in this world, but God will only show a finger and assure you will be doomed. I urge all countries to come out and support Palestine, because they deserve to be supported. They are calm. They are God-fearing people, but they've been oppressed for the longest period they've lived on their land. They've never seen freedom. They've never seen peace because of other countries interfering with them. Honestly, Israel would not do this if they were alone. There are other countries that are supporting them in this war, and we are telling them, God is honestly watching you. Mr. Speaker, the Bible says in Psalm 72:14, I quote, "He will redeem them from oppression and violence, for their lives are precious to him." The same Bible in Isaiah says, "Learn to do good, seek justice, help the oppressed, defend the cause of orphans, fight for the rights of the widows." These countries, majority of them are Christians who use the same Bible that I'm quoting. And I'm wondering, which God are they worshiping? Is it the same God that they're talking about in Psalms and in Isaiah and other verses in the Bible? Mr. Speaker, if you look at the situation in Gaza, I have never seen such a terrifying moment in Gaza. I saw a 6-year-old baby, 6-year-old boy, who was carrying a lemon in his hand, and he was asked by a news anchor, "What are you going to eat today?" And with blood stain on his face, and he said, "Allah knows." And he was asked, "How about the lemon?" And he answered, "I told you, Allah knows. This lemon will make my dinner today." And he was asked, "Where are your siblings?" He said, "I am sad. And this one I'm asking God, why did he do this to me?" And he was asked, "What is it?" He said, "I lost my mother, I lost my father, and all my siblings. But I am happy that they're going to be with their Lord. And there I know they'll have peace. Why was I left? Why did God leave me alone? Why could God not take me with my other siblings and parents?" The situation is sad. It is sad. And I'm asking God Almighty, oh Allah, please come down and save the Palestine. Come down and show these countries that are supporting evil that you do exist. Please show your finger. Please show the world that you are God who cares for the orphans, who cares for the children. God in the Quran, God in the Bible. Please come down and save Palestine. May God have mercy on you, Palestine. And those brothers and sisters who have gone before us because they have been taken away by weapons. May Allah give you peace. May He give you everlasting peace. And those who are left behind, may you live to see peace one day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The member for Tetu. Honorable Benzimba, member for, you are next after the member for Tetu in the queue that I have here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to also add my voice to this very important motion here today. And Mr. Speaker, let me say from the onset that the attack on October 7th, 2023, in which approximately 1,300 Israelis were killed by Hamas and about nearly 300 taken to hostage, is a reprehensible act that should be condemned by all. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, what has followed that event, and now we are nearly 2 years into the anniversary of what appears to be a never-ending struggle, has been, nothing short of catastrophe. Many people who have spoken here have described with graphic detail the images that we all see of children suffering, people being shot at close range as they try to collect food, what looks like an induced mass starvation. But, Mr. Speaker, another picture maybe that not few people have depicted is that we still have a few hundred hostages rotting in underground tunnels, held by Hamas. And, Mr. Speaker, for us to make sense of this conflict, we must look at it soberly and on a balanced scale, Mr. Speaker. What Israel is doing looks like what I would call a collective punishment. And what we would expect from any responsible government is that in the event of an armed conflict, the response should be proportionate, it should be targeted, and it should be respectful of international law. When you shoot children collecting food or women collecting food, when you bomb hospitals, I think you have already crossed the line when it comes to humanitarian law. And so, Mr. Speaker, we would like to call, or I would like to call upon an immediate ceasefire, at least to allow food and other necessities, medical supplies, to be able to flow into Gaza. I would also like to ask Hamas
to unconditionally release all those hostages, because it is those acts, the acts of October 7, that while some people here may say Hamas is a freedom fighter organization, which we agree, it also conducts acts that are mirror very closely acts of terrorism, and this must be condemned. And Mr. Speaker, we also would like to urge for urgent international dialogue. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, now we have a very weakened UN because of the gradual withdrawal of support from the US government. And now the UN is a body that cannot even mediate on the simplest of crises, Mr. Speaker. But for whatever is remaining, it is important that urgent negotiations by all countries are held. And Mr. Speaker, as a country, we support the two-state nation. However, it is the same Hamas that keeps saying they don't want the nation of Israel to exist. The nation of Israel also says the same thing. They don't want the nation of Palestine to exist. So, Mr. Speaker, there is no innocent party to this conflict. And so it is very, very important that as we debate this, we debate responsibly, but the ultimate solution is a two-state nation where people coexist peacefully, but no nation should be wishing to exterminate the other. So, Mr. Speaker, with that, I would just like to say that Israelis are occupying their traditional or their ancestral Jewish land, the same thing as Palestinians are occupying their ancestral Arab land. So it is a matter of agreeing on boundaries and creating a peaceful two-nation state. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well said. Member for Kisauni.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa fursa na mimi niweze kuzungumzia masuala ya Mashariki ya Kati. Na pia nikushukuru sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa sababu umewapatia watu wote nafasi bila ya kuwaingilia katikati. Unampa nafasi azungumze yale anayoyaona katika moyo wake yako sawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni masikitiko makubwa kwa mauaji yanayoendelea Mashariki ya Kati. Maisha ya binadamu ni muhimu sana, na ni Mola pekee anayepeana uhai, na ni yeye pekee ndio anaweza kutoa uhai huo, sio kupitia kwa binadamu kufanya hayo. Masikitiko ni kwamba Mheshimiwa Spika, watoto akina mama wanauliwa kiholela Mashariki ya Kati, na yule ambaye amesimama katika bunge hili ama katika sehemu aliyoko akifurahia mauaji hayo, huyo hana tofauti na shetani. Hana tofauti, kwa sababu ukiona furahia watu wanaouliwa kule, wale watoto wanaouliwa kule ni kama wako yule aliyoko kwa nyumba yako. Wewe utofurahia mtoto wako apoteze maisha kwa kuumizwa kwa kifaa ambacho kina nguvu zaidi kama bomu. Lakini ikiwa wewe unasimama kuona kwamba ni sawa, basi wewe na shetani huna tofauti. Mataifa makubwa yamenyamaza kimya, na huku mauaji yanaendelea. Na wamenyamaza kwa sababu wale wanaouawa ni wa Palestina. Ndio sababu wamenyamaza kimya kwa sababu zao za kibinafsi, lakini hii si matatizo ya Ukristo na Uislamu. Hii ni matatizo ya mauaji yanaendelea sehemu ya Gaza. Ni mauaji yale yanaendelea, si kwa sababu ati kuna shida yoyote, kwa sababu maisha ya Mkristo, maisha ya Muislamu hakuna haki ya kuyaondoa katika ulimwengu huu. Sio wewe ulioyaleta. Kwa hivyo wewe sio na sababu kwamba mimi sasa hawa walifanya kitu fulani, kwa hivyo mimi naendelea kwa mauaji hayo. Ajabu, hata chakula kile njia wale watu umeshawa displace, umewaondoa, hawana makao, hawajui wakae wapi, wanapigwa na jua na mvua, baridi, watoto wako pale. Chakula pia unawanyima asiwafikie. Ajabu ni kwamba hata ng'ombe wakati anaenda kuchinjwa anapelekwa kichinjioni. Lakini wale wanauawa zaidi ya ng'ombe, wanawekwa mahali, wanaambiwa chakula kinakuja, risasi zinaanza hapo na mabomu. Hii ni kitu cha masikitiko makubwa sana ambayo yanaendelea kule. Na mataifa makubwa nitakaniwa ingilie kwa haraka kuona kwamba wanasimamisha mapigano hayo. Kwa sababu wale watoto, picha zinaoneshwa, mbavu zimetoka, hajakula, hakuna maji. na watu wanafurahia kwamba wanaendelea na maisha yao kule kwingine. Hiyo ni makosa makubwa sana, na Mungu atalipa, atawalipa tu. Haiwezekani kwamba wewe unaamua leo nitawaua watu hawa ni waondoe ulimwengu, unawaua. Wewe huna uwezo huo. Kuhusu mambo ya ugaidi, hakuna mtu anataka ugaidi. Kama ni gaidi, afuatwe gaidi yeye. Yule mtoto ni gaidi wa kutoka wapi? Yule mama ni gaidi wa kutoka wapi? Anauliwa. Ikiwa mtu ni gaidi, atafutwe gaidi yule. Hakuna mtu anakubaliana kwamba ugaidi uendelee. Na gaidi ni yule ambaye anakuja na malengo ya kuua watu ambao wasiokuwa na hatia. Na saizi Israeli inaua hivyo hivyo wale watu wasiokuwa na hatia. Kwa hivyo gaidi ni nani? Wote basi ni magaidi. Wao pia ni magaidi, kwa sababu mnaua mtoto ameshika bunduki ya nani? Amekuja vipi? Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, hili ni jambo la masikitiko sana linaendelea huko. Ikiwa mataifa ya Ulaya, mataifa makubwa, wao wanaangalia Afrika tu, wasema huyu tutampeleka mahakama ya kimataifa. Mbona sasa hawapeleki watu wanavyouliwa kule? Wanatufanya sisi ni wapuzi sana hawa. Lakini hii dunia Mwenyezi Mungu sio wao. Mbona hawashiki mtu sasa wakampeleka katika mahakama ya kimataifa? Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nimesimama kuunga mkono mswada huu. Ikiwezekana vile vita visimamishwe kwa haraka, kwa sababu wale wa Palestina walioko pale hawana uwezo wa kupigana na Waisraeli. Hawana. Waisraeli walijaribu Irani, walikomeshwa. Wale wana uwezo, hawa hawana uwezo. Wale hata mawe hawana. Sasa mahali wamepelekwa ni mahali kuna difiri tu michanga, wanaweka kwenye hema. Mimi ningeomba mataifa makubwa yaingilie kama alivyosema katika mswada huu ndugu yetu Shakir Shabir, kwamba vita hivi, hakusema vita viendelee, vita visimame, na kama kuna ugaidi wafuatwe wale ambao wanahusika na ugaidi, si akina mama. Na kushukuru Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kutoa nafasi hii, hujamuingilia mtu katika mazungumzo yake. Na kushukuru, sisi tunazungumza kwa uchungu kwamba maisha ya watu yanapotea pale. Si kwamba ati maisha ya Israeli yapotee, hatutaki yote yapotee. Maisha yanayepeana na Mwenyezi Mungu peke yake. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nasimama kuunga mswada huu, na Mungu asaidie kwamba hivyo vita visimame. Asante sana.
The member for Mandera South.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I stand to support this motion. Honorable Speaker, it's a very sad moment the world is going through right now. What's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Middle East is a very sad affair. And what's happening in Palestine in particular is catastrophic. It is a stain on collective memory of the world. We have seen images through our television sets. We have read news of horrific situations which we thought can only happen in movies. But we are watching a genocide as it is happening live. Honorable Speaker, we have seen images of a child seeking aid at an aid distribution site. A child who receives some aid and kisses the hand of an Israeli military. And later we are told that child received a bullet on its head. The child is kissing the hand of a military soldier, and in return, the child receives a bullet in the head. Honorable Speaker, we have read stories, very sad stories, of a doctor who lost 9 of her children while she was attending to the patients in makeshift hospitals. And her husband and her only remaining son have been left maimed forever. Honorable Speaker, thousands of people have been killed. Thousands others have been injured. Many have been displaced. 70% of housing units in the housing system in Gaza have been destroyed. Hospitals have been destroyed. Schools and universities have been destroyed. Neighborhoods have been turned into rubble. And those searching for safety, Honorable Speaker, have nowhere to run to. Honorable Speaker, water systems have completely been destroyed in Gaza. Israelis have shut down electricity system. Honorable Speaker, agriculture and food production sectors have been completely destroyed. And Gaza is just a living nightmare as the world is watching at this age and time. And we are watching all of this happening real time on our television sets, on social media, and live. Honorable Speaker, it's in the midst of this catastrophe that we stand with the people of Gaza. We stand with the people of Middle East, and we pray for peace in the region. I stand to thank the more than 170 countries which have come out to recognize the state of Palestine, because ultimately the only permanent solution for that region is the recognition of the state of Palestine and ensuring that that country becomes independent. I know even recognition of Palestine today doesn't inspire a lot of hope for any steps to be taken. I know it might not amount to anything, but it is very important so that the political process of discussion about the permanent solution of this problem is brought back on the table. Honorable Speaker, finally, I would ask for immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. I would ask for Israel to stop the humanitarian catastrophe and open all the aid routes so that the UN and other countries which are able to give aid to Palestine can access those people who are hungry and can feed the hungry and treat the injured. Honorable Speaker, we pray for the stoppage of further loss of lives, and we pray the entire world embraces the permanent solution for Palestine, that is the two-state solution. And I will appeal directly to the state of United States of America, and particularly to President Trump. President Trump should feel touched by what is happening in Gaza. And President Trump should recognize the state of Palestine, just like France, Germany, Australia, and Britain are willing to do during the September UN conference. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Said the member for Mandera North.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to thank the mover of this motion for bringing.
Yes, before we proceed, the member for Luanda, you were actually next to speak, but then you removed your card. Your card? It was actually on queue, but then it was removed. And maybe you have to, because you are ahead of the member speaking now. So you have just put it afresh, then you'll speak after him. Go ahead, Honorable Bashir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to first and foremost thank the mover for bringing this motion so that this Parliament and Kenyans can express their concerns on the atrocities that are ongoing in Gaza and Palestine. Honorable Speaker, what is happening right now is just not conflict, but it is more than even a genocide. The pictures and the situations coming out of Gaza are deplorable. What started as a conflict between armed wing of Hamas and the state of Palestine is no longer a conflict. It is a genocide that now this world is witnessing. And unfortunately, the world is just watching and nothing is being done. The state of Israel has violated all manner of international law, all manner of international humanitarian laws as concerns this conflict. If the state of Israel or the IDF is fighting with Hamas per se, I don't think probably the world will not have made so much noise, because armed conflict happens in most parts of the world. But when you target children, women, elderly, who have no weapons at hand, people queuing for food, and you kill them, that is actually something that has never happened. We remember the Holocaust that has happened. The world empathized, sympathized with Israel. Unfortunately, they are doing more than what happened to them during the Holocaust. It's actually unfortunate that we're now talking about we recognize the state of Palestine. What state? We just want an immediate ceasefire in Palestine so that the next step can be recognition of Palestine as a state. But as we speak now, what's happening is what we call starvation by death. People are queuing for food, and they're all shot at. Children and women. We know how this thing happened. Everybody's saying about, Hamas is a terrorist, this is a terrorist. Now, who is a terrorist in this place? What is terrorism in the first place? Terrorism is if you attack or destroy an armed civilian or population, you're also a terrorist. And in that category, the state of Israel also does the same way as a terrorist nation. No doubt about it. And it's high time that we fully condemn the action of Israel on what is happening in Gaza. And for your information, the people being killed are not just Muslims. They are Palestinians who are Christians. Their churches have been desecrated. Mosques have been desecrated. So it's not about the state of Israel targeting the Muslim community. They are targeting every human being that lives in the state of Palestine. And we talk about, we have holy sites, Israel being a holy site. How can you destroy churches? How can you destroy mosques that you see people are worshiping? If you look at what's happening in Gaza now, the rubble that is there, even if this ceasefire is done tomorrow or the day after, or just in a few weeks or so, it will take years for the state of Palestine to build. But it's upon this nation, the nations of the world, to come in clear terms. I want to commend Canada, France, United Kingdom for coming out bold and saying that we are recognizing the state of Palestine. And it's because they have tried all manner of negotiation to tell the state of Israel, please stop what you're doing. And nothing is happening. We want peace in Palestine, we want peace in Israel, and we want people of Israel and people of Palestine to live in peace. We are aware there are certain populations of the people of Israel who are not happy about what is happening. So we're not outrightly condemning the population of Israel. We are condemning the army or the state of Israel itself, but not the population. I want to call upon the world to take action. My colleague has mentioned here that people are talking about ICC or ABCD. When it comes to Africans being targeted as ICC suspects, the whole world will make noise. Why is the world quiet of the fact that ICC has pronounced itself that the Prime Minister of Israel is an ICC suspect, and nobody's talking about it? Honorable Speaker, we, the people that we represent, are people of humanity. We have children, we have mothers, we have aged parents. They also stay and live in that place. It's unfortunate what is happening. I want to now condemn in no uncertain terms that what is happening is more than genocide in Palestine. And I call upon the world to take action against the state of Israel. What it is doing is not any more conflict. When you are talking of conflict, you conflict with an armed wing. What is happening is that they are killing innocent children, women especially, queuing for food. They have crossed the red line. The state of Israel has crossed the red line, and it's high time that we tell them that you have crossed the red line and it is no longer tenable. Let the people of Palestine live in peace. Let the people of Israel also live in peace so that they can go on. And at this point, we ask that we want an immediate ceasefire and recognition of the state of Palestine. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Luanda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My system seemed to have malfunctioned, but thank you for the opportunity. Allow me to join my colleagues in supporting this motion and applauding the good effort of our brother Shakil for having thought it good that we spare some time and discuss this important issue that concerns the human dignity and the human life. Mr. Speaker, peace is a very, very important aspect in human life, and the absence of it is the presence of chaos. And what we see happening in the Middle East, the prolonged war between Israel and Palestine, is a bad thing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have seen images that are quite dehumanizing. We have seen clips that are very sad, Mr. Speaker, where innocent people are butchered and killed for no other crime than just being Palestinians. Mr. Speaker, the United Nations General Assembly has passed resolutions giving specific demands on what the unlawful occupation of Palestinian territories. But that seems not to be important, Mr. Speaker. We rise to say that what Israel is doing to the Palestinians, Mr. Speaker, is wrong. And no right-thinking mankind can support the kind of destruction, the kind of murders, the kind of butchery that we are seeing happening to innocent people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in cases of war, it's always good that innocent children, women are left out of that war. These people are unarmed. It is true, it has been said that Israel is a holy nation. Mr. Speaker, I am a Christian. And Christianity does not support killing of the innocent ones. Christianity does not support shedding of innocent blood. Christianity does not support preaching of disunity, but talks of peace. And the international community, Mr. Speaker, especially the superpowers, are quiet. Are quiet when innocent people are killed. Are quiet when innocent people, Mr. Speaker, are murdered in broad daylight. Some, just on the queues looking for food and water, are actually killed and murdered, Mr. Speaker. This is wrong. And Mr. Speaker, there's nothing wrong when a country fights for its territorial recognition. We as a country in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, our forefathers really fought to give us independence. And Mr. Speaker, it is because of what our forefathers did, fighting, sacrificing their own souls, that we can talk of an independent Kenya today. We can talk of self-rule, Mr. Speaker. We can talk of a country that is independent and that can be able to observe its territories, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, having received this independence, if another state were to appear to tamper with their territories, Mr. Speaker, Kenya will defend itself. And therefore, what we see happening, Mr. Speaker, that Palestinians are actually being eliminated. We actually see Israel moving out of its way, Mr. Speaker, to really do what I can refer to as inhuman. And as human beings, Mr. Speaker, who live in this generation, it is wrong that we keep quiet. It is wrong that we fail to put our voice in this. It is wrong that we fail to condemn what is bad, but we must speak it out, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I join my colleagues in saying, Mr. Speaker, that peace in the Middle East is peace in the world. Peace in the Middle East is peace across East Africa and even peace in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes this conflict escalates and affects us in one or the other, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, as I speak this morning, Mr. Speaker, I want to condemn what is happening and call for ceasefire, call for peace and understanding between these two nations, Mr. Speaker, because Palestine have their own rights just as Israelis have their own right. And Mr. Speaker, as I finish, it is sad even to note that some of our superpowers are quiet. Some of our superpowers are even part and parcel of these wars, Mr. Speaker, which is wrong. I support. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Baringo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I also want to add my contribution and support my colleague for bringing this very, very important motion in this discussion of Israel and Palestine war. The Speaker must say, for many of us who have gone to school and learned history, that the war that is now being undertaken in Palestine was caused by few people who sat down and created this Israel, or the state of Israel, after the Second World War. Not considering the people of Palestine and the larger area of Syria, Palestine, Iraq, and all those in the predominant Islam, and created this one state, which is a Zionist state, and which their founder was Theodor Herzl, an Austrian journalist, and who decided that the people, or all the Jews, were supposed to be recognized and given a state called Israel. We are witnessing the worst, real bad, with no better description of worst, genocide in the 1st and 2nd century. Mr. Speaker, my biggest problem and worry is that the people who are lecturing the world and giving them directions and policing everyone on matters democracy and human rights are the ones who are overseeing, perpetrating, and killing young, small babies, mothers, women, people who have no reason to die. The taxpayers of a country called America today is used every day to starve, to kill young children in Palestine. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the world expects something different to happen. But as the days goes, we are seeing this situation becoming more aggravated. And I want to join my colleagues and all Kenyans and all people of the world to tell America and Israel that they have gone too far. It is the only genocide that is being filmed and is visiting people right in their sitting rooms and bedrooms as they watch young and babies being driven, hospitals like neonatals, being bombed. You're already killing someone who is already weak and call it war. That is not war. And there's no way we are going to call this, this genocide war, because it is only one-sided. The state of Palestine, which is not even recognized, is being bombarded every day. They don't even have army. It's not recognized. So there's no way we can call war, it's a war between two countries. This is genocide done against humanity, which is Palestine. Mr. Speaker, the biggest problem I also see is that it is connoted to religion. That today, Christianity is anchored in a history based on Israel. That was where Jesus was born. That is where whole life and harmony. I listen to people praise Israel, and I wonder whether it is true that we are actually going to believe in this religion. It is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, also, that the leadership of the world, which is mainly men, all the presidents who are watching and perpetrating all these, people who are doing business of war, weapons and everything, that they can sit every time there's a meeting, a conference in United Nations, there is always that vote that is denying lives of the people of Palestine. I want to join the world by demonstrating and raising my voice through this floor, in the floor of this house, and say we must recognize Palestine like any other state. And we must give reasons, and there's no reason to give so much, but by allowing the people of Palestine to live like any other human beings. Otherwise, we are all incriminated. It's unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that today a mother watches a child die because of hunger, just because of blockade of food. Someone just refuses people to eat. Across the wing in Israel and Ramallah, you will always watch the occupiers, the Jews, going to people's farms, land, houses, throwing them away. And no one is talking about it. But if you watch it clearly, anything happens in Africa, for instance, we would be having people being shouted around and being told they will be taken to The Hague. There is a bounty on the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, that is supposed to be in the gas chambers in The Hague. But no one is willing. The other day he was in the US Congress, and he was given a standing ovation. The world is so hypocritical. It's unfortunate also because even if you go around the world today, in the big cities of the world, the people who are on statues, carved on names and named in big institutions, are people who probably perpetrated the worst crimes of the world, of human beings. But unless the world recognize and decide that human beings are equal, because we are only different in forms of color, but we are whole human beings. I want to support that it is time Palestine should be recognized. The two-state solution should be given a proposal. I want to even ask my president, when he's going to UN UNGA in this September, to participate and give face that we are human rights lovers, and we want to encourage all Africans to support Palestine in their next visit in the UN. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Matungulu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to put my views on this. And I want to thank Honorable Shakil for bringing up this. Mr. Speaker, I believe the world has been so silent for a while on this issue of Palestine and Israel conflict. And I wonder, Mr. Speaker, why the world has been so silent when total genocide, a modern genocide, is taking place in the globe. Mr. Speaker, as much as things have gotten out of hand in Palestine, and especially the Gaza territory, since the bombardment by the Americans, it concerns me the importance of United Nations. It concerns me the resolutions of United Nations, whereby United Nations has made very clear resolutions towards this issue, and they are not being implemented. Mr. Speaker, I doubt whether there is half people in this globe or full people in this globe. And the world is staring at a very difficult situation, because if the world does not wake up, we are staring at a third world war and probably a fourth world war, which will be more sophisticated than the previous world wars we have had. Mr. Speaker, just the other day, we woke up and missiles were flying between Iraq and Israel in the airspace whereby it's supposed to be free. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we have also remained silent. I want to applaud South Africa and the other countries who went ahead to prosecute a case at ICC against Israel. Because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot just sit and watch the world get destroyed by a few interests of some people. And it wonders, Mr. Speaker, how will the young people, the young generation in Gaza, in Palestine, in Israel, in Middle East, realize that you can sleep, you can go to school, You can enjoy the privileges given but under the UN Charter of any child, of peace, tranquility, and education, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as a nation, we must be in the forefront to condemn the acts at Gaza Strip as the strongest term possible, Mr. Speaker. And it is important, Mr. Speaker, to be noted that what is happening right now on the issues of food rationing at the Gaza Strip is totally unacceptable, is totally inhumane, is totally discrimination of the people in Palestine. I want to remind the world, war is not a solution. And nobody is safe from the modern war. Mr. Speaker, yesterday in the evening I was watching CNN, whereby they were interviewing one of the Tokyo atomic bombing survivor. And it is touching to listen to what happened to Japan when it was atomically bombed. Mr. Speaker, we might think that we are safe in Kenya. We are the hub of this region. Our proximity to Gaza, our interaction with the international community can harm us. So I want to urge the government of the day and the people of Kenya to stand with the people of Israel and probably to be in the front people of Palestine and to be in the front to negotiate for amicable solution as we have done in our region. Because, Mr. Speaker, this cannot be allowed to continue in the 21st century. We are the people, and the people of the globe must stand with the oppressed and call upon the oppressors. We don't need to be told who are the oppressors. We know them. They are trying to put the entire country into a village to control the world. Mr. Speaker, as a nation, we enjoy the privilege and tranquility because of peace. I believe the people of Palestine need to enjoy the same tranquility and peace in their region. And it is the high time the entire international community recall themselves and come up with a solution and lasting solution for Palestine and Israel. Because I believe, Mr. Speaker, if we let the two bulls fighting to come up with a solution, it is the common citizen of the two nations who are suffering, who are dying of hunger, bombardment, lack of water, lack of infrastructure, lack of schools, lack of hospitals. And I can't believe in this time and era whereby a nation just wakes up and decide to make people suffer. It is upon all of us to condemn this at the highest level and urge the United Nations, kindly, you have passed resolution on these issues. What measures are you taking to make sure that all the resolutions you have passed since this war started are implemented? I want to support and call for peace globally. We need to live in harmony We need to live like brothers and sisters because we believe when peace prevails, the globe becomes a better place for all of us to live. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this motion. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I support the motion that we actually need to have peace in the Middle East. However, Mr. Speaker, first I wish to state that as we support this particular motion, we need to also, instead of condemning one nation called Israel for these particular attacks, we first of all go back to the root cause of this crisis. On October 7th, 2023, there was a provocation attack on a music concert that has led all this that has created all these crises. And my point of concern is that for us to have peace in the Middle East, all the people living in the Middle East, all the nations in the Middle East must come together and embrace peace.
Go ahead with your contribution, Honorable Blanya.
Pardon?
Go on with your contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we note that we have had this crisis from the time, from the 1948, when this nation called Israel was created. But for the neighboring nation, Jordan, Yemen, and all the other nations, Egypt included, or the people just within the Gaza Strip, as much as Israel is making illegal occupation of the Gaza Strip or the Palestinian land, we also need to have neighbors coming together for peaceful discussion so that we can have a long-lasting solution. And perhaps this is the reason why the United Nations that created this particular nation called Israel is unable to have a resolution that will bring Israel into order. Whatever Israel is doing, I cannot support because where there's war, the people who suffer are children, women, and vulnerable members of the society. When you watch news, it is saddening to see people being killed. I cannot support what Israel is doing. But my point of concern is that the moment there is an attempt of having ceasefire, you will have a Hezbollah group attacking, you will have the Hamas doing another destructive actions. That's why we are saying that we may have discussions here.
Just a minute. What is out of order, the Honorable Member for Baringo? Because if you only disagree with him, I won't allow you. What is out of order?
Out of order, what is out of order, Mr. Speaker, is the attack of October 7th was not occasioned because of the invasion. It was because Palestine has been a small prison.
That's a point of argument. I don't remember. That is not out of order. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But we are saying that in law, I wish to inform my colleague that in law we say two wrongs don't make a right. As much as I've wronged you, you also don't need to commit a crime to come and so that you come and assert your rights. So we are saying that I don't support Israeli invasion of the Palestine. I don't support Israel's continued airstrike on the Palestinians. But we are saying to have a long-lasting peace in Middle East, the people, this war has sucked in Iran and other neighboring nations. That's why we are saying that all the nations living around Israel, because their major concern is that Israel must be removed because it was when the United Nations resolution created three strips. That's the Gaza, the West Bank, and the other one. So that they want Israel to be moved out of the Middle East, which is not possible because from 1948, Mr. Speaker, it's a long period. And we are saying the only solution is the neighbors sitting together, the people living in the Middle East, to have a resolution that now we want peace. Israel, go back to your boundaries. That's you move out of the Palestinian land so that Palestinians can have their own independence. They can have their own nation to live freely as any other part of the world. So, Mr. Speaker, the resolutions that whatever the motion aims to attain in this particular house, that we as Kenyans will reaffirm proactive commitment to peaceful resolution of disputes through negotiation, diplomacy, and adherence to the principle. Mr. Speaker, I support all this, and I support this particular motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I stand to support the motion brought by our brother Shabir on the situation, the dire situation in the Middle East, and in particular the war against the Palestinian people, and particularly the people of Gaza. And I want to say that we need to put these things into historical context, is that the source of this particular problem was created by the myth of land without a people, land for people without a land, and planting the Jewish nation of Israel in the middle of the Palestinian state, and displacing the Palestinian people from 1948 to date, and without a solution, despite the fact that the United Nations has always advocated for a two-state solution. Israel and its Western friends have persistently refused to work towards a two-state solution in which the Israelis and the Palestinians can live together as neighbors, peacefully together as neighbors. And as a result, they have continued to push for a final solution, which is to rid the whole of Palestine, what was original Palestine, of Palestinians. First of all, occupy the West Bank and Gaza, and now launch a serious and a terrible war of displacement and ethnic cleansing that has killed more than 200,000 children, mostly women and children, and has laid the whole of Gaza a wasteland. It almost looks like the attacks, the atomic bomb attack on Hiroshima and Nagasaki during the Second World War. Since 1948, Palestinians have continuously been displaced from their land, their indigenous ancestral land. And as a result of that, they have not been able to get their right for self-determination, their right to have their own nation, and to determine their own destination as a nation. And people keep on asking that this war between Israel and the Palestinians must stop. But there is no war between Israel and Palestinians. There's a continuous war of ethnic cleansing by the Israelis against the Palestinians. The people of Palestine and Gaza are not armed. They are civilians. And they continue to suffer unimaginable suffering because Israel has cut off food supplies, it has cut off water supplies, it has cut off electricity supply, and it is under siege. You cannot get in or get out of Gaza. Gaza is a prison. And there are thousands and thousands of humanitarian organizations with tons and tons of food on the borders of Gaza now. And Israel is using food, humanitarian assistance as a weapon, starvation as a weapon to force the people of Gaza to surrender. And this is against international law. It is against international humanitarian law. It is against international human rights law. And the other factor is that Israel is a major force of instability in the Middle East. Since in the last 22 months, apart from waging war on the Palestinian people, Israel has attacked Lebanon, Israel has attacked Syria, Israel has attacked Iran, unprovoked. And the Western countries that supply weapons and give political diplomacy to the Israelis are looking the other way. In a way, it is sad because they are undermining and destroying the international institutions that have been set up for peace and security in the world, including the United Nations. They are making the United Nations inoperable. And the successive calls for a ceasefire to stop this unjust war against the Palestinian people have been rebuffed by a veto from the United States at the United Nations every time it happens. In other words, the United States and the Western countries are willing to paralyze the United States and to destroy international law in order to protect this aggressive power in the Middle East. So I think this must come to an end. As Kenyans, we have suffered under colonialism. We know what colonialism and occupation means. And we support the just struggle of the Palestinian people. We support the struggle of the Palestinian people for statehood so that we can have an independent Palestinian state that lives side by side with the other nations of that region. We also condemn the killing of children and women, unarmed civilians. That needs to be condemned. These are war crimes. These are crimes against humanity. And what is happening in Gaza and in the West Bank is genocide. All international organizations, all humanitarian organizations have classified that as genocide, including the ICC, including the International Court of Justice. And we believe that what is happening in Palestine is genocide. It must be stopped. There must be a ceasefire. The war must be stopped so that the people of Palestine can be helped. And we must stop Israel from concluding or executing its final solution to ethnically cleanse the land of Palestine and remove Palestinians from indigenous land. This should not be accepted by the international community, and I urge the Kenyan government to speak out and take a very clear position on this issue, because we have always stood for liberation and self-determination, having ourselves come from a colonial situation. And therefore, I fully support the motion, and I call upon the world and the United Nations to take the necessary action to protect the people of Palestine from extinction. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Last on this will be the Honorable Member for Saku.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I came this morning at 9:30, so my honorable colleague from Muranga should hold our horses. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this motion. And I support it as a humanitarian, as also an international citizen. When we watch the global news and what is happening in Gaza, the Western Strip, between Israel and the Palestinians, I think it's sad. Our hearts go out to children and women and people who are dying so helplessly, where they are bombed from the air, from the ground, and it is as if the humanity has lost its soul. As Kenyans, I think Kenya is a part of the global society that speaks to the soul of the human being. Because we have been part of the non-aligned movement, and we have participated in many United Nations peacekeeping missions around the world, starting in Yugoslavia, in Namibia, in Mozambique, in Western Sahara, all over, where we have come face to face with the way humanity can degrade itself, where the humanity can lose its soul. What is happening in Middle East right now between the Israelis and the Palestinians, I think it simply means United Nations Security Council has lost that agenda for which it was established immediately at the end of the Second World War. The purpose of United Nations Security Council is for peace and security around the world. If this particular incident was being perpetrated by any other country in the world, today that country would be crushed. But because it is being done by one country, I think that will not listen to anybody. It listens to itself. Since, I think, 1948, 1967, 1973, there have been the Arab-Israeli wars. But the same Arabs have come about to say that we agreed to a two-state solution, that the Palestinians and Israelis should live with each other in peace in two states. And for that reason, we do not foresee an Arab-Israeli war in our lifetime or even in the next generation. So for that reason, what is being seen or happening in Palestine is actually genocide. It cannot be called by any other name. And I think International Criminal Court has pronounced itself to that position. But they are asking who should appear before the International Criminal Court. The other time, just a few years ago, our leaders were dragged before the International Criminal Court for what was, they might actually have not been the ones who carried out the post-election violence. But on the mere mention of their names, they were dragged before those courts. But today, there appears to be nobody who can be brought before the International Criminal Court for genocide in Palestine. If you look at what is happening, civilians, women and children, unarmed, are being bombed from the air. I think in our lifetime, it is the only time we might see this happening. Because when you see, somebody says, oh, you see, Israeli-Palestinian war. The Palestinians don't have an army. And I think the bunch called the Hamas is just a group of pretenders, ragtag militias, who pretend to come to do violence when it suits them. But you know, it is the same Israeli government that at one time sponsored Hamas to be in charge of the Palestinians. And the world was not happy with that because they wanted non-armed, but also people who largely reflected the face of democracy in Palestine. But the Israelis would not want to have any of that. So for that reason, I want to thank the mover of this motion. I think he moved it as a humanitarian and as somebody who has watched helplessly, because the whole world is watching helplessly what is happening. That people are blockaded, they cannot receive food, hospitals are bombed, people who are injured in this conflict are not receiving medical support because there are no hospitals, there are no drugs. I think it's a pathetic situation that should not happen in the 21st century. Honorable Speaker, one of the reasons why the Allied forces moved their forces from all over the world into Germany during the Second World War was the Jewish Holocaust in Europe, that time largely in Germany, in Poland. And it is that reason why today we have the Jewish state, because the world saved many people. And today they live all over the world. I think at some point in time, people must deeply reflect that as human beings, and I think for the Christians, you also say, do unto others what you want to be done unto you. I'm sure the Jewish people around the world would not be happy if that was indeed happening to them. Honorable Speaker, I believe the mover of motion has postulated that Kenya has always stood for peaceful resolution to disputes around the world. And we have been interlocutors in South Sudan, and also when we had problems in both Uganda and also even in Rwanda. I think the world must rise to the occasion, particularly to protect lives more than anything. Because I think from the face of it, the land called Palestine, maybe it does not exist anymore. Because when you reflect about a people, then it reflects the land. Today, even in our country, when we talk about communities, when people talk about Mount Kenya, then we know that which community lives in Mount Kenya. So when you bomb people, when you completely annihilate them, then they fail to exist. So the important thing is to talk about humanitarian, for the respect of international humanitarian law, and also the United Nations Security Council must come up to make sure that whatever remains of the Palestinian people can be protected, can be safeguarded, so that once again they live as human beings. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I rise on Standing Order 95. Honorable Speaker, I believe members have expressed themselves in regard to this, and if there is no further interest, Honorable Speaker, we seek your indulgence to have the mover respond and proceed with the next motion or bill.
This has been a very interesting one, where members have kept coming one by one as one finishes. So I would indulge the Honorable Zamzam 5 minutes or less, and then this will be the last, then we call him off to reply. Thank you.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kuchangia mada hii ya leo. Mheshimiwa Spika, ubinadamu inafaa kila mmoja aweze kuangaliwa kwa usawa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na inasikitisha sana kuona watoto na kina mama ndani ya Palestine wanauliwa kama wanyama, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na ikiwa dunia ama Umoja wa Mataifa iko serious kuweza kusaidia Palestina, Mheshimiwa Spika, ingekuwa mpaka sasa vile vita vimekwisha, Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini tunaona Wapalestina wamenyanyasika miaka mingi, hatujui maana ya Umoja wa Mataifa, hatuelewi wanasaidia kitu gani ikiwa nchi kama Palestina ambao ni kwao nyumbani wanakuwa wananyanyasika, wanauliwa kama takataka, wanaonekana kama si binadamu, Mheshimiwa Spika. Ukiangalia Israel wanabomba mpaka mahospitali, sehemu ambazo wameenda kujihifadhi kule kwa matents wanarusha mabomu kule, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hatusemi tu Palestinians, kuna paka wa Israeli ambao wanakufa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na mimi ningependa kusema serikali ya Israel ni wakati angalie ubinadamu ni kitu gani. Na sisi kama dunia nzima tunachoka, tumelia, tumemuomba Mungu, lakini tuna imani iko siku moja Palestina itakombolewa, Mheshimiwa Spika, na watarudi kupata haki yao na watapata amani na haki ya nchi yao, Mheshimiwa Spika. Manake huwezi kumkaribisha mgeni kisha aje kugeuka au na kutoa katika boma lako, anakuwa kinyama, kisha dunia nzima imenyamaza, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mimi natoa kwa uchungu, sina nguvu yoyote ya kufanya isipokuwa na laumu Umoja wa Mataifa. Ingekuwa hata ile kesi ambayo imetolewa ICC vile walivyoamua kuwa Waisraeli pale si kwao, ni sehemu ya Palestina, ingekuwa ishachukuliwa hatua, Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini na mimi pia nawaomba mataifa ya Kiarabu Tokeni, hao ni majirani zenu. Tokeni na nyinyi pia muwasaidie. Haiwezekani nchi moja ndogo inasumbua dunia nzima akili, wamekuwa vichwa ngumu, hawataki kusikia, wana unyama, hawaangalii watoto, hawaangalii kina mama wale wazee. Mwenyezi Mungu atasimama na Palestina. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Being there no further interest on this matter, I will now ask the mover. And before he replies, would I recognize members, students from the following schools who are seated in the public gallery. Students from Fountain Gate Academy, Kandui, Bungoma County. Mwihoti School, Kinangop, Nyandarua County. Ntarewe Primary School, Imenti South, Meru County. Kapiatit Primary School, Mogoshio, Baringo County. Mutunguru Primary School, Imenti South, Imenti South must be Meru County. And the Scouts Association, who are here earlier, from Kisumu East in Kisumu County. Then Shakil, you can now reply to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to thank those who have spoken in support of this motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is of great concern to us Kenyans that this is continuing to go on. Mr. Speaker, nobody has mentioned, but you know, the President Trump of the United States at one time said that they are going to level the whole of Palestine, the whole of Gaza, and make it a resort. Now, that is the sort of thinking that is going on, and it is something that cannot continue. There are former Israeli generals who are against this, and they said enough is enough. There are former leaders in Israel who have said, well, enough is enough. The problem that Israel is facing is the extremists at both ends. Netanyahu is facing a corruption case. And he knows that the moment he relaxes on this issue, they will be taking him and he will lose his position and he will be taken in charge for corruption. Nobody disagrees on the issue of the two-party state. The Israelis have accepted it in 1978. Even Hamas had accepted it in 1967. The question was what part it is. I think now it's a time that America, the United States of America, now reigns in Israel and goes in there and puts together a two-party state. And that is the way it's going to happen. Because unless you do this, there is going to be a problem. Nostradamus, nearly 500 or 800 years ago, actually told us that there was going to be a third world war from this area. Libya has been wiped out. Iraq has been wiped out. Syria has been wiped out. Lebanon has been destroyed. The Holy Land of the three main religions of this world, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, is now the arena of this genocide. I don't think God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala would have wanted this. And I don't think anybody wants this.
Don't disrupt the member, please. Let him finalize.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is the darkest period in our history, and I would really want to finalize this by saying, Kenya, please stand up and let's recognize Palestine, but also recognize the right of Israel to exist. I'm very much on that. Israel must exist. They're the descendants of Bani Ismail, Israel, and then the descendants of Bani Ismail are the Arabs. Both of them have a right here. I curse Hamas, and I say to Hamas that God will pay you back in big way. Finally, Israel and the United States went to bomb the Iran, the nuclear station, and that was in the rocks. And they had bombs that went all the way down. Why don't they take those bombs now and bomb the tunnels in which the Hamas is staying and finish with this solution? And let's go forward. Thank you very much, and thank those who have supported this, this motion. Thank you, Bwana Speaker, sir. Bwana Speaker, I beg to reply and request that the putting of the question to be deferred pursuant to order, standing order number 53 of 3. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Shakil, and as requested, the putting of the question on this matter is deferred accordingly.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have one other request. Mr. Speaker, sir, may I?
No, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in the House are the scouts from Kisumu East, and they're very, very well dressed, and they have come over here. And I think, Mr. Speaker, you are also a member of the World Parliamentary Scouts Union, and this is a support that we've been getting with the WSP, and I want to be, I'm very proud to bring them, to receive them here, and I shall be going out again to meet them. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
They're welcome. Next order.
Order number 9, the Breastfeeding Mothers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2024, second reading, resumption of debate.
Members, this a bill that is, the debate on this bill is ongoing, so I would like to know whether there are members who wish to speak to this.
I think we've made our case, huh? Thank you. No, thank you.
The member for Busia, you want to speak on the breastfeeding bill? Okay. The Honorable Wako, you want to speak to the breastfeeding bill? Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice to this very important bill for introduction into National Assembly, the Breastfeeding Mothers Bill 2024. And also thank and congratulate Mheshimiwa Sabina Chege for coming up with this, which shows that she's concerned about the future of this country and also about the young mothers. Honorable Speaker, it is a gift to be a young mother and also to give birth to children, because there are many people who may not even have that opportunity. But as a nation, we need to take care of our young mothers, young families, because the society depends on families, and families are the institutions that God has created so that we can bring up children who can take care of our nation in the future. I support this because the principal object of this bill is to provide a legal framework on mothers who may wish to breastfeed their children at workplace. We know that in our country today, many young women are working class, and they do not have the luxury of staying at home, breastfeeding their children, and taking care of them. And by providing this, we'll have taken care of a great area in our nation whereby mother-child will come together, connect. As the mother works, then the child will also be given that special care. Honorable Speaker, when mothers breastfeed their children, we know very well that they bring up healthy children. The relationship between the mother and the child grows, and also even in the upbringing of the child, especially for them to be breastfed the first 6 months is quite important in nurturing and bringing up of that child, both physically, mentally, and also bonding between the mother and the child. And that is why, as a nation, if we are mindful about the future of our nation, we should all support this. Again, breastfeeding is the first preventive health measures that can be given to a child. And if we do that, then we have taken care of our children. As we know very well these days, even the food that we eat, the feeding that we do to our children is not healthy enough. But when we breastfeed our children, then we are able to take care of their health. Mother-infant relationship is enhanced, and the child is able to grow with a lot of confidence. And again, it serves as the first, the nature's first immunization. Honorable Speaker, that is one gift that we need to give to all our children so that our children can be able to fight any potential infection that may come around. And again, to boost their growth, the mother has to be there. They must be fed properly. And that is the only time the mother's joy can be increased, and also the child's confidence can also be increased. Again, Honorable Speaker, in Part 2, Clause 3 to 9, the bill provides for the fundamental principles and the rights at work for breastfeeding mothers, which is lacking now. And this will encourage and motivate young people, because in some areas in our country today, we do not have mothers, young mothers giving birth or getting pregnancy. And if we do this, this can be a very good incentive, because we can take care of them as a nation, and they will have the confidence of even carrying the pregnancy and bringing their children up in a good way. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I support this, and it is my prayer that very, very soon this will be, the President can assent and can be used in our nation. Thank you.
The member for Kitui Central.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me also take this opportunity to support this progressive bill, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm not a medical doctor, but I've been listening a lot to debates on the benefits of breastfeeding. Honorable Speaker, the medical doctors do recommend that for the first 6 months after birth, a child should only rely on mother's milk. And that being the case, Honorable Speaker, a number of benefits are listed associated with that breastfeeding. One of them is improvement of the immunity of the child. That a child has, for the first 6 months, has managed to only live on mother's milk, Honorable Speaker, the immunity levels is really improved. The second one, Honorable Speaker, is that a child who has been breastfeeding for the first 6 months, Honorable Speaker, even the intelligence development, the levels of development of the mind, Honorable Speaker, the intellectual development also is assessed to be higher than those who are fed on these foods which are given and not the mother's milk. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, is that there is also a claim that, I don't know if there's a claim or is a scientific information, Honorable Speaker, that mothers who do breastfeeding for the first 6 months also reduce chances of having breast cancer, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, anytime I listen to this kind of talks, it encourages me, because I do realize that some of the young mothers will not really like to breastfeed their kids for the first 6 months because of the beauty-related issues, Honorable Speaker. So when I see a bill, Honorable Speaker, which proposes that we do provide facilities and the legal framework to ensure that our mothers breastfeed their children for the first 6 months and also the longest time possible, Honorable Speaker, this is a bill worth supporting, Honorable Speaker. So for me, Honorable Speaker, even though I'm not a medical doctor, I really want to support this bill and say that after the bill becomes an act of parliament, if possible, Honorable Speaker, we need to fast track it. And after becoming an act of parliament, we need to provide the conducive environment so that whatever is in this bill is implemented immediately, Honorable Speaker. I do support.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kangundo, do you want to contribute, or you're contributing on this bill? Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving the opportunity to add my voice on breastfeeding bill. Honorable Speaker, breastfeeding is the best way to give the young-born hand bodies nutrition, and also gives a pathway of a young-born to come to the heart, the first way to start giving food. So this, everyone, give the right now, the start of every human being to be in the heart. So on the onset, I support the bill, but if you see in our country how the labor laws they are set, workers, they are only given 3 months to be leave out of job. But the breastfeeding professionally is supposed to, whatever we get from the policies from the health sector, is supposed to be 2 years. So you see now, given the gap that there shall be the time when you are working as per the law, and there shall be the time which also you need to breastfeed. So for coming up with this bill for lactating mothers, it is a good opportunity to give corporate institution also to the government for privacy for our mothers and our sisters. So it is a good bill to support our mothers and sisters. Compare it internationally, Philippines, they have done the same. It's not something which Kenya is coming to be new about it. Philippines have done the lactating mothers private in terms of giving areas for breastfeeding. United Nations, some states, some governors, they have implemented through the states' federal laws. So in Kenya, if we are known in Africa for spearheading in terms of making bills and laws, in Kenya for coming the breastfeeding bill is a good way to support our sisters, our mothers, and also the wife, which we are living with them. Because sometimes when we come to corporate world, like especially we are traveling back home, public sector traveling is very hard when you are breastfeeding. So I know it will be some challenge and there shall be economical burden which will come to the corporates, to the business people, but I support is a good idea. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
I don't see any further requests on this bill, so I would request the mover for the bill to reply. The member for Baringo, you wanted to contribute to this bill? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I also want to contribute to this very important bill. And I want to thank Honorable Sabina. As much as this bill has taken a lot of time and long time, we would be actually wishing that it should be assented in good time. And also, Mr. Speaker, this is the month for breastfeeding, and we want to celebrate young mothers who are breastfeeding. As I support this bill, Mr. Speaker, I also want to contribute to say that it is important for a baby, a young, as we have our children, to get enough time to bond. And breastfeeding is one of the best ways to enable the child and the mother to bond all the time. And this is why this bill is important, because as we look at the challenges that comes during this generation, where we have many young mothers going to work and they deprive their children of this very important nutritious meal of their breasts, it takes bold decisions like what Honorable Sabina have drafted through this bill to allow all of us as mothers and the fathers to bond by giving room in workplaces, specifically with all the articulated descriptions. And this is going to enable the society to grow well and children to have good health as they enjoy this bonding with their mothers. Mr. Speaker, I also want to say thank you, Sabina, for giving us this opportunity. As a mother, I want to look forward for a better environment for mothers who are working to bond with their children and their child also gets enough time with the mother. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Sabina Chege. Chance to reply.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank honorable members for the great support they have shown towards this bill. And Honorable Speaker, it is such a coincidence that the World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated annually between August 1st to 7th. And so I am very grateful that we are able to conclude this bill on this day, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I want also to say that breast milk is very important. And it's good for mothers to know that there is already evidence-based approach that shows that the first 1,000 days are the most important in child's life. And therefore, it is also recommended that the first 6 months there is exclusive breastfeeding. And this enables the growth and overall growth of a child. And so, Mr. Speaker, as I thank various organizations that came in, even at this house, we need to look at our room where it is. We lead from the front, Mr. Speaker. And I also, again, want to thank the Parliamentary Service Commission for the small step they started from that small room that is across the road. And if you have a mother who is here contributing to a bill, they might need to go out, breastfeed, and come back. We need allocation of a room within the Parliament main building where a mother can just walk out and walk in. Might be, if you look at houses like Austria, both houses of representative and the Senate, they have actually allowed mothers who have small babies to actually even get into the chamber with a baby. Mr. Speaker, if I have an urgent matter going on and have my baby, provided they're not causing any disruption, it is important that maybe one day, one time, if you have a small baby, you can walk in and the baby will not be seen as a stranger, but the mother will be comfortably sit, listen in, or even contribute to a motion. Mr. Speaker, I think it has also happened in UK, Spain, and Italy. These are countries that we can benchmark with and be a first, maybe East African nation that can allow members of parliament to participate with their small and young ones. And not just for members, Mr. Speaker. I know we have a huge number of staff members here who are also equally young. And Mr. Speaker, I would also request the Parliamentary Service Commission to visit Safaricom. Safaricom have the latest, lactation room. They have gone to an extra mile of even providing support to the staff who have small children, such that they can come with their children, you can either come with your house girl, and they have a place they can stay. And this will only add to the productivity. Mr. Speaker, for any mother who has given birth, it is very uncomfortable when your breasts are full of milk. You don't have a place to express. Sometimes you have a dress that can show when they start leaking out. It's very uncomfortable. And so the productivity goes down. And I will also want to urge the companies where they have these young mothers, give them working flexible hours where they can come maybe a little bit later in the morning and leave early. And this will even increase their productivity. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, as I finish, to urge my colleagues as we go to now the third reading, and there are several amendments that were recommended by various stakeholders. I want to thank the Committee on Social Protection under the leadership of Honorable Alice Ganga as the chair for their commitment. And I also want to recognize the Kenya Association for Breastfeeding, the Career Mothers for Exclusive Breastfeeding. There's a lady called Ms. Esther Kimani, who is a member of lactation professional, Mr. Collins Michael of Policy and Governance Kenya, the Care Network, under the Oxfam Youth Alive Kenya Association of Women in Agriculture, Kenya Union of Domestic and Hotels, Education Institutions, Hospitals, and Allied Workers, who also gave their view. There are also several individuals, Mr. Speaker, I might not go through all of them, including the Kenya Association of Bankers, Professionals, and even the University of Nairobi African Women's Studies Research Center. They came in and they were able to share their views with the committee. As we go to the next level and we also go for the amendment, I urge members to support. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to say, for the people who had a lot of hope with the motion that passed on in the morning, we will still go on. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity. Asante sana. And I beg to reply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well said. Honourable members, for obvious reasons, the decision on this matter will be made the next time it's in the order paper, and the voting on the second reading. Members, time now being 1 o'clock, this House stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, the 6th of August at 2:30 p.m. this afternoon.